Hey, and welcome back to Referential Treatment. A little bit about this episode. We had our first guest on. I really liked having him on. He's a good close friend of mine. Fair warning, I got a little bit in the sauce on this one, especially towards the end. There is no edit for removing slurred words, but all in all, we had a great time, I think. I put it up in an earlier episode, but now we have a Twitter if you guys feel like following us, and thanks for checking out the show.
This is Referential Treatment.
It's a non-safe for working environment show, so there will be cursing and a lot of topics you might not be okay with.
This is just our opinions here, and it's dialectic.
It's just two people talking to get to the heart of matters.
It's just for fun.
And more importantly, we want you not to like, not to subscribe, but to just leave a comment and join us.
We're interested in seeing what you have to say.
Or not. Testing, check. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Testing, check. Okay, so today is a special episode because we have our first guest.
This is good whiskey. I really like it because you brought whiskey. That's all it takes.
But here's something that we all have in common. You can use Always Sunny references with him because he's seen more episodes than I have.
Sweet.
Like, how many times have you been through all of Always Sunny?
All of them?
Yes.
That's hard to say because...
Falling asleep.
I literally, sometimes when I can't fall asleep, I'll just put it on. Because I've seen them so much, it puts me to sleep.
I think he has it, like, subliminally built into his head.
Yeah. Nothing puts me out better than D screaming.
Our boss reminds us of D. So whenever, like, she says something to piss him off because she gets on his nerves.
God damn it, D.
Yeah, she walks away and just like, stupid bitch.
D, you bitch.
I like the gin bar one. Is this gin? I hate gin.
I hate gin.
But they keep going back and ordering more gin. The man shushed us.
So this is our alternative setup. We switched to over the other room, the kitchen room, and it didn't feel as right.
Yeah,
I like these chairs better.
We were like face to face with each other.
I feel comfortable in here, so...
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a good setup. The chairs are just loud enough.
Just loud enough to be annoying. So, I know you have a story, and I know you have a story.
We both had experiences coming here.
Just today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently. I've heard a little bit of your story, but I grabbed some food before I came here. I went to Subway by my house. And there's just the most bizarre people there at this time of day on a Saturday, apparently. So the guy in front of me, he's a bit of an older guy, and he's got his phone out the whole time he's ordering, and he's held out in front of him. And I don't want to judge like what people order to eat, who cares, like don't yuck someone's yum. But he ordered a ham sandwich with a ham on the side.
So just the bread?
Yeah, it was just the bread, and she's like, toasted? And it's just bread by itself. He's like, yes, please. So she toasts just the bread, and like comes back, and there's just a layer of ham on the side, just next to the sandwich. And she's like, do you want vegetables? He's like, yes, all of them. So she has to stack up all the vegetables on this, and the whole time she's doing this, he's recording her hands doing it on his phone.
On the side?
Just her hands?
Or on the ham?
As she's doing all this, making the sandwich, he's recording it on his phone. It's like, what a bizarre guy. This is so weird.
That sounds like maybe like an inspection for Subway.
Maybe he's a vegetarian, just wants the ham. But see, that's
or maybe he has his own Subway podcast.
Maybe
bigot.
Perhaps. I was trying to think, like, why would someone order ham on the side?
Maybe he likes to add his own condiments, because that's the one with the Safeways.
He got condiments.
What the fuck?
He got all the condiments on
He's
it,
a weirdo. I can't redeem him. I've tried.
My brain is racking. Like, what possible explanation could exist for this? And as he was finishing up, like, paying, I hear on my left side, are you playing a game right now? And it's the lady that makes sandwiches that says it. I was like, what? I look behind me. And there's this younger man, he's like probably like late 20s, just furiously swiping his finger on his phone. Like, really going at it hard.
Flicking the bean.
Apparently, or something like that. He's playing some fucking game. And she's like, you could tell she's a bit annoyed.
Yeah.
It's like, are you playing a game right now? He's like, yeah. And then, like, as he's trying to order, he's playing this game furiously. So, of course, he can't order for shit. She's just, like, having to ask over and over and over. And in between these two, I was like, what a bizarre experience. Like, this old guy can't figure technology out or, like, doesn't understand, like, basic courtesy for phones. Like, just don't record people without them knowing or something like that. Like,
yeah.
Just seems weird.
That may be illegal.
And then on the other side is this younger guy who's just completely disregarding reality of what's going on or how she might be feeling about the situation. He's just going nuts. This is so weird. Thought that was it. Got my sandwich, walked out. He was outside filming people's license plates. Just walking by, filming them one by one. Like, what is this? Like, thank God I parked far away
He was
from
an
here.
old
but-
man too. That's
Yeah,
strange.
slightly older guy. So
That-
it's just
like
so
if it was
weird.
millennial behavior, I'd be like, yeah, that's expected.
It was bizarre. It's just like I couldn't think of any logical reason for either of them to behave that way, other than they
You
weren't.
should have
aware
asked
of what
them.
they were
You
doing.
should be like, excuse me, sir, why are you filming everything?
Like,
I know
two
you have
friends?
eyes.
Are you two friends? 'Cause,
He's just like, grandson.
yeah, it's weird. They're just both really like I just started dot hacking again, the
Yeah.
game we're playing now, and a part of it is the backstory is saying like it's a fake news article basically saying
Fake
there's now outdoor introverts, people
Yeah.
who do like VR and all stuff, but like, they're
Outside.
out and about. So they're out in reality in the world doing stuff, but they're all like playing a game at the same time, not paying attention to the world.
I like
at
to
all.
imagine they're like touching trees there, like they're so real.
Yeah, it just happens to walk into a tree like whoa. Yeah, it's like that experience right after reading that. It's kind of now.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, it's not like full VR people like jacked into something else other than reality, but basically same
Yeah.
thing.
Hmm.
This is so weird. This is very bizarre.
He only plays one game. Well, I say that because I only see you play one game from my Steam account.
I hear it every day. Because we got a Discord.
PUBG.
Yeah.
Like
No,
No.
not PUBG.
Oh.
So
He's
that's
like-
what everybody else plays.
Yes.
And I tried to get into PUBG, and then I immediately was like, nope, relapse back into the game I'm comfortable with. But
I feel like you've played it to an insane level that you're not only the only person I know who plays that, but you're probably one of the better ones I've seen play it ever.
Diablo 1.
that's why I like it so much. No. Oh, no, yeah. I was going to say similar developers, but no, not at all.
StarCraft.
No.
Getting warmer.
So it's not an RPG, but there are some...
I guess you would say it's a simulator.
It is skill-based.
Flight Simulator?
Kind of simulator. It's
Yeah.
more of a... It is first person, even though you can play third person.
Euro Truck Simulator.
No. Okay, lasers, missiles, and huge cannons /
Command and
ballistics. No,
That was a good guess, though.
no, it's first person. Although there is...
Missiles, first
So
person.
it has an extreme cult, very nerdish background because of where it began. It
Warhammer?
began as very close.
Yeah.
In terms of, I don't know, genre, kind of.
Yeah.
But now that you're trying to guess so hard, I'm not going to tell you until you get it.
I'm so my brain's wrecked.
I feel like you should be able to get it, though. Maybe not the game exactly, but the universe it revolves around. Because the game has a name, but it's based on a specific universe.
Yeah. Was it?
I
It
will
wasn't
say...
Halo Wars?
No. I'll give you a huge hint, though. Robots. Big robots.
Gundam?
It's dude.
No.
I would have a massive raging boner for this game if it was Gundam, but it's not.
Oh, it's Armored Core?
God
That's
damn,
the
you're
closest.
hovering around like the
That's
outside.
the closest,
of it.
except Armored
Oh.
Core has no
Did it
previous...
come out? Was it?
You're mashing it. You're not
Armored Core has no
penetrating, you're
lore.
just- Yeah.
This has, like, legit story.
Was it
It was also a Battletop, or a
Tabletop?
tabletop game. It still is. Like, people still actively
Oh,
play
God, I
it.
know what you're talking about. Was it the one that came out for Xbox 360 really early on? But it
Do you mean Robotech?
That wasn't HD yet, so all the words were way too fucking small, so no one could read it.
I think so.
And like you start out in the menu, and it's like a grid, and you find out where you're gonna be on the grid and where your objectives are, and like you have to like actually like
I don't think
build
so.
robots
There
to do
was
stuff.
one version of the game. They kind of strayed off from the path, though, but it was on regular Xbox.
I
When
hope-
Xbox Live first came out.
I hope our 10 viewers are yelling at their computers when they hear this. They're just like, God damn it! This is the game it is!
Yeah. So that game that you may or may not be thinking about was called MechAssault.
That's Megasalt is what I was thinking of.
Okay. So that was
that
a
the one?
spin-off, even though they did keep some of the background, like the names of the mechs and stuff. But there's a new one for PC that's been out
Like 5,
3,
6 years?
4 years.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah.
in game
So
time.
it's technically still in beta. It's free to play.
For 6 years.
Yeah. They have a lot of complaints. It's made by Piranha Games, so PGI. And so you don't know?
I think I've seen like one video.
We'll
of
just say it. It's MechWarrior.
MechWarrior Online.
Yeah.
MWO.
Yeah.
That's not familiar.
So it has a huge, like, I like to call it cult following. Because, like, no matter...
I've never seen anyone who is kind of into MechWarrior.
Yeah.
They're always
You're
like,
all
You either
all
love
in.
it or hate it, yeah. Because I've tried to get so many people to play, and then they'll try, like, a week later, they just don't ever try it again.
I think I've seen a video of that.
Which I think is weird, because it's free to play, and it's not pay to win.
No.
It's not.
Yeah.
Although
It's one of those games that are so punishing if you go against someone who knows what they're doing.
yeah, and that's what happens. Like people would get barraged by missiles, and they're like, "This is bullshit. Missiles are just raining on me." And I'm like, "You gotta get to cover," but they still don't know how to like
Maneuver.
turn.
Yeah.
Because it's strictly online. So
Which I think is super interesting and why I would put it closer to the simulator genre. Because you both know I'm kind of obsessed with giant robots. But
Sexually obsessed.
sexually obsessed.
It can only get hard. It's a giant robot.
Yeah. So the big thing is, if you were to do simulated combat right now, or not simulate, like actual MechWarrior combat, that's what it'd be like. It's
Slow and clunky and hard to control.
well, not just that, but if someone knew what they were doing, you would just get barraged by missiles. Like
Yeah.
if you were a rookie pilot with no training, we didn't have an academy or anything, and we're like, all right, guys, go out there and win the war, like Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
It's like a Starship Troopers. We barely rush you through academy, like go win.
The commander
So,
gets on the line.
there is that part of a story in MechWarrior. So the background is BattleTech. BattleTech universe is the universe of MechWarriors. MechWarriors is just what they call the pilots, and they wear these sweet neuro helmets that like connect into your spine or something, I think, and
It's Matrix
just
shit.
like kind of. But everything controls the mech from your movements and everything. You,
Okay, so it's
you got a
one-to-one.
joystick. The original games,
Sir,
did
that's the
have
plot to
joystick
Pacific Rim.
features. Yeah, new Pacific Rim coming out soon.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, too.
Was
John
that-
John Boyega
Is that
is
the game
late.
series where like they had the controller, like they sell that giant controller?
That was the
separately?
Xbox game you're thinking of.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that game. It was a huge controller. No matter how far you got in the game, if you died, you had to begin at the very beginning. You start all over.
Holy shit.
Can't remember the name of that game, but if people always think of that game when
Yeah.
I talk about MechWarrior. Can't remember what it was called.
I played Robotech,
It
but
was
that
kind
was
of a
about
flop.
it. Hmm.
Because it was like $250 to purchase
Yeah.
the game because you had to have a controller.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It was a huge thing.
Like-
Yeah, it was gigantic.
Like, imagine Forza if you had to play with the steering wheel,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the pedals.
you had to buy the car.
I saw a funny video recently where someone was like, how to actually play Forza, and it starts off. Have you seen those videos where the guy does like a how-to, but he ends up like how to make this, and he like throws it, wrecks it, or like how to make Christmas turkey, and it's just him taking a frozen
Oh,
turkey and
yeah.
beating it with shit.
Yeah.
So I think someone watched this video and is like, that's a good idea for like how to shoot my videos. So he doesn't break anything, but it's clearly an affluent, like super rich person. Because the video starts off, he's driving like a new Ferrari, and he goes to GameStop in a foreign country. I'm assuming because the guy at GameStop is even like Arabic, maybe, I don't know.
This is probably UAE.
It's probably. So the guy's speaking to him in a different language, and he buys the new Forza. And the whole time you see like only from the perspective of his hands down, and then it's him getting back in his like Ferrari, throwing Forza on the passenger seat, driving furiously home, and like every now and then he like stops and he's like in traffic and he sees someone else, and then he's rushing home. He gets in his garage, and then he's like on the back of his Ferrari. He has his Xbox set up. It's in his garage, and there's another like Ferrari right next to it. And he has his Xbox set up shittily on the spoiler. Like, it looks like he put it in the wires today. And then he hops inside the Ferrari, and then there's a screen in front of his windshield, and he's just driving, like, his Ferrari. He had two of them, and this one had the Forza steering wheel replaced for the Ferrari
What?
steering wheel.
Oh my
Which
gosh.
means he bought a Ferrari just to use it as a Forza simulator.
That's
And then it's him playing Forza through his windshield.
That's pretty cool. I'm not
That's
gonna
kinda-
lie.
Yeah, because the whole time it's the ultimate simulator. Because then he turned in the game and he's playing his Ferrari that he's sitting in on the screen.
It's ridiculous.
But if you have that level of money and you don't use it, you're just rich for no reason.
I'd be rich for no reason.
Like, I really enjoy ham sandwiches made by me. Instead of fine dining and whatnot, I'm only going to use my money conservatively. Aren't you going to donate charity? No. I like being rich. But just don't like flaunting it.
I wouldn't know what to buy anyways if I was super rich.
Yes, you do.
Like, you'd be like, get a nice car. I'm like, I already have a nice car.
Yeah, you do.
You can get nicer cars. It's work.
I would tell you to get a nice car, because I myself can't justify owning a car over $50,000.
I would just get a butler, an assistant.
Yeah?
So, like, everything annoying in life, I could just have them do it.
I'm not going to be your butler.
No, not you.
Okay.
You don't. You'd be terrible.
It'd have to
I
be
would-
like land for me, Because that's
Flat land.
the most valuable thing, at least in America. It's just land.
Yeah, my dad always said it. He's like, you could bomb it, you could burn it. It doesn't matter what you do to it. Land's still going to be land.
We actually looked up at work one day what the cheapest land in America is. And there are parts in Kansas
Idaho.
that if you
Kansas, my second
if you agree to build a house on the land, they'll give it to you for free.
Holy shit.
And it's like, I think it's 4 acres or so. It's pretty
Yeah.
pretty good sized amount of land.
Yeah, it raises the value of all the other land. So
Yep. In Arizona, I think you can get like 6 acres for like $300.
yeah, same with New Mexico.
Yeah. I thought about that, like being a land baron, just buying the cheapest land ever, just owning tons of acres. But I didn't think about the property tax you have to start paying.
Yeah. Well, see, what most people do, I think it's popular more closer to the East Coast, buy land with a lot of trees, and you sell your trees, you farm your trees. And you do it, portions at a time, so you're always, every time, every month of the year, there's always a lot being taken.
Yeah.
And then it slowly grows back. And by the time,
It
if they
loses
do it
back
right,
around.
by the time you get back to that first lot, there's trees growing again.
Yeah, it's a constant upkeep. Like self-paying, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like I need to talk more about MechWarrior. I didn't get enough out of my
Go ahead,
system.
man. Go
I don't
ahead.
know. Well, it's funny because I mentioned that I wanted to get a tattoo, and my wife didn't like hearing that for some reason.
A MechWarrior tattoo or just a tattoo?
Of a mech, yeah. Of a
Okay.
mech from the game. And we were looking, so I am getting a tattoo soon of I like to get animals. I have a lot of animals.
Oh, sweet. I'm going to do the same thing.
Nice.
This whole side's going to do that.
Like, what kind of animal? Or, like, photorealistic looking?
No, more stylized like this.
Okay, yeah. So kind of like my fox. This is the only one that I have
Yeah.
that's not.
Oh, shit, both have fox tattoos.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, is that what the tail is?
Yeah,
I see.
it's
Oh.
fox.
Ooh, I like that.
That's cool.
So I'm getting a harpy eagle right here. That's scheduled. I'm also getting a roadrunner on my leg, and then I was going through the guy's tattoo album, and he has this crazy. He's super expensive. He's booked out all the way like a few months in advance, so I gotta wait a while. But he's amazing, and there's a tattoo of a knight with like a sword and a shield, and it looks 3D color and everything. It looks amazing, and all of a sudden, randomly, I was like, I bet he could do an awesome mech. And my wife was like, no. She was like, I can understand the knight because that's real. Like that was actually a part of our civilization and the like history and stuff. But your MechWarrior is fake. It's like lore. Shouldn't use those words, but in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but the whole idea of getting a tattoo is something that you love.
Yeah.
That you're gonna like love for a long time.
And it's your own body.
Yeah.
Like, when
Yeah,
it comes down
exactly.
to it, it's your decision. So
I know at the end of the day she won't care, but
yeah,
she gives me crap
that's
for
a funny
playing
argument.
in
Though.
general.
Like it's not real. Like sweetie,
Yeah,
night is the past, mech is the future.
I told her it very much can be real, and they're making robots like that today.
We had our first giant robot fight recently.
With
And-
Japan? Did
yeah,
that happen?
yeah. Oh, that finally happened, dude. I've been tracking that. When we first met, I was telling you about that. I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
remember.
oh my god, giant robots are fighting while we're alive. So
like,
it
what
did
kind of
happen.
weapons?
So they reserved it because there was actual pilots within the cockpit, so they didn't want to make it too lethal.
Oh,
Yes.
so that's
it,
very much like MechWarrior.
Yes. So for the U.S., we could watch it after this, but for the U.S., we had 2 pilots. And originally, when we issued the challenge, Megabots is a company. If anyone wants to look this up or watch the videos, but so they initially made a robot, and their challenge video was. I should back that a little bit. So originally, there was a robot called the Curatus, I think is how you pronounce it. And it ran off like a diesel engine, like a big rig 18-wheeler engine. And Japan made it as like a joking thing. It had fun missiles,
That's what
so
they
like
do
the
for
shoulder
jokes.
mount. Yeah, for jokes. Because they're that bored with military technology.
No. The reason they make those is for guys like him to say, "Sweetie, no, it's real. Mechs are real."
Yeah.
I can have this tattoo.
So here's why it was jokingly. So they even had a smile function, so that every time the pilot smiled, there was like a facing inward to the cockpit camera. It would fire, because it had Gatling guns installed on it initially that had BBs on it. It was like... and
So if you go like manic, like
you're just like smiling, and it's just like, fire, fire, fire. So it had an operating system with it. But then they also had like joking shoulder missiles, because they were like, those like water balloons that you have as a kid, where it's like you fill up pump it up, the water rockets, and then just the pressure from the water shoots it off, and it sprays water everywhere. So it had a shoulder mount of those. It was like a 16 rack, and it's like use missiles, and that would open and fire 16 water missiles.
That's hilarious.
That were like completely random. They had no tracking or anything.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about the Curatus that I noticed instantly is you could take off the joke miniguns and put on real miniguns. I mean, assuming if you have giant robot money, you have
weight distribution.
You have minigun money, and weight distribution. Which if you had like mainly
if you did enough engineering to build a joke war robot, it wouldn't be that much more to ask to make a real war robot.
Exactly, and it could already. So it was quadruped, but it had wheels on the bottom, so it was almost like tank-like, and it could get up and down. But the higher you got up, just like normal aerodynamics for a vehicle, you'd be more likely to flip, and then like traction is a thing. Right. Stability, that's the biggest thing. So they put that out initially, and in the Americas, the Megabots was the main company that was starting now, and they're like, well, we should build a giant robot because
I saw that.
It's got to be. It was a very American idea of just like Japan has a giant robot, so what are we doing? So they built one. It was very crude and it required 2 pilots. Like it didn't have an operating system. Everything was manual. And they had like a ridiculous, I think it was compressed air initially, where it was just a compressed air cannon and it was like PVC pipe, like big giant PVC pipe. And then they would just shoot giant paintball rounds into a car and it was like going through car windows and everything. It was a stupid amount of PSI that they're shooting this cannon at. So they were just like, they use joke weapons, we'll use joke weapons. And then I think that one was called Old Glory. And so then they issued a challenge to Japan. They're like, Japan, he's wearing a cape, an American flag as a cape. He's like, Japan, we have a giant robot, you have a giant robot. I say we fight. And I think they said like a year's time from now or whatever. Yeah. No, they initially said, I say we fight. And what's your reply? And Japan said, Curatus was not built with the intentions of combat. If you would give us a year, we'll modify. So, in the meantime, we accept the challenge. And then they realize Old Glory's mobility is not good enough to really go against the Curatus. Because they have like a top speed of something like 33 miles an hour. And they were just like,
That's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's not at all. That wasn't me taking a jab at it. That was like, that's pretty fast.
For a giant robot.
Well, the whole thing, you have a human pilot, so, like, you going 33 miles an hour in a giant metal mech to hit anything is pretty crazy. So, Japan was doing their modifications, and in the meantime, with the challenge video, they got a certain level of public attention they hadn't received before. So they were able to start a Kickstarter, I think it was.
Get some funding.
And get some funding, and then they got so much funding, they're like, we have enough money for a new robot. So they built a new robot, and that one has like an eagle's head. It's like...
Is it called New Glory?
No, it's something else also super American. I think it might be like... It's eagle something, because the head is a giant eagle. So, long story short, Japan's just like, well, we still want to fight Old Glory, because that's what we initially agreed to. We'll also fight your new robot. So it was 2 separate matches. And in the initial match, it goes exactly how not only I thought it would go, but like if you were to look on separate stat sheets, and initially what they realized, Old Glory is too slow to go against the Curatus. So what Japan's idea was just like, what if we keep the same top speed we have, do no long-range weapons, and they just have a giant metal smashing arm on it?
Like a clothesline?
Like a clothesline club, yeah. So then they're like, okay, fight, start. And then Old Glory is like trying to use the long-range cannon, and it makes the mistake of standing up, of extending, because Old Glory also had a down and up mode. And so they try to stand up to line up their, not missile launcher.
Arm cannon?
Their arm cannon, essentially, to the appropriate length to shoot at the Curatus. So Curatus charges at top speed and just uses that giant swinging arm, knocks down Old Glory in one hit. But the whole time, Curatus is just like tanking the blows from this cannon.
It actually fell over?
Yeah, he actually fell over, and the pilots got out. You could tell they felt like shit. They're like, how do you guys feel? And they're like, oh, what state are we in? Like,
heavy, like...
Oh, dude, definitely. And then they even lined their cockpit with, like, rebar, and they were in, like, harnesses and everything. It wasn't a legit fight, but you could tell they were not... Like, I guarantee you they had concussions getting out of that.
Yeah.
because this giant, like, 2-ton robot came rushing at them with a giant metal arm and just swung into them. And the impact didn't look that bad until I saw the replay. I'm like, oh yeah, they got hit.
In my head, this sounds awesome. I'm sure the video isn't actually that cool.
Correct.
Like it's
Correct. I do this to you a lot.
This
the
is
thing
what
that
I was
sounds
thinking.
awesome, but you watch it,
All I
it's
can
like-
picture is early first generation Power Rangers
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like-
exactly how it translates.
in the city, just like
It's just like the slightest
Awesome.
little turn where he like clotheslines. Like I would barely call it a punch.
It's awesome.
It's a calculated clothesline.
That's how shit starts, though.
Well, exactly. I'm saying everything's in its infancy, and this was a sanctioned fight between two giant robots. So it's just like, let's look at the age that we're in. And then
What year was this?
what the fight happened?
Yeah.
This year. It happened like last month.
wow.
So this is
I'm surprised I haven't seen it.
This is super recent news. And then after that, they're like, okay, so we knew Old Glory was going to lose. Let's use the new robot. And the new robot ends up winning. So the Kiratas changed its technique a little bit. It didn't modify its arms or anything because it is a modular system.
Yeah.
It used a drone. It had a drone, like a Walmart drone, and that drone was equipped with smoke screens. And it would just
What?
vent all this smoke, and the Americans are like, what the fuck is he doing? So in our new one, we just lined up our cannons, and we just keep blasting at it, and then we end up winning that battle.
That's awesome.
But it was just cool to think that the Japanese, like, will use a smoke screen. I'm like, that's the most textbook ninja shit you could have done!
Awesome. Yeah, robot ninja smoke screen.
It doesn't work as well as you think it would. But then
My head's
again...
working great.
Then again, I don't know what it looked like from the pilot's perspective, because the video we got was the overhead of the battlefield.
Yeah.
But for the pilots, that could have been like a serious
You can't
debilitating
see
move.
shit,
Yeah.
But it, like the Kiratas try like hiding behind a giant bundle of barrels. But the funny part is just like, you're a giant robot. You can't hide from shit. Not even with a smoke screen.
Stealth is not your forte.
So, of course, what the Americans do, we shoot down the barrels it's hiding behind of, and then it's like, oh fuck, what do I do from here?
I think I say shoot down the UAV.
No,
That'd be
no.
fucking sick.
That would be sick. But it's like mechanics, and it takes a lot to move robots
kinda
that quick.
rough, yeah.
But once again, this is the beginning. Who knows where we'll be 20 years from now.
Yeah.
If you would have said 20 years before, like, one day giant robots will fight for shits and giggles, everyone would laugh at you.
I started. Holy shit, now I'm so hyped about it.
Oh, dude, my Gundam boner is fully erect.
See, the only thing is, like, right now in this age, like, giant fighting robots do not make sense in the sense of like a military perspective, like fighting,
Right.
because
Yeah.
we have so many weapons that could just take them out easily.
Yeah.
In a game like MechWarrior, the story behind how those came to be was more of
A viable method of
Or is it
combat.
an international agreement to use those only?
that too. Yeah, there was like a whole like agreement, and there was an intersphere.
Like G Gundam!
But it more so came from almost kind of like it reminds me of like Samurai, how they have
Like on?
yeah, exactly. Like we use these. This is our method of combat.
So we don't have, like, mass
Yeah.
graves.
But there was tanks still and like jet fighters and stuff, but there wasn't like nuclear strikes. Although, if the military were to create something, because all the mechs in BattleTech use nuclear reactors
Yeah.
for their engines.
Oh god, it's like one fails or gets shot up. It's like
Yeah,
now
yeah.
there's room for next 40
Yeah,
years.
Yeah.
yeah. And one of
It's
the
not like
games-
Nagasaki size, right? It's just like a
No,
smaller
no, yeah,
reactor,
it's
of
smaller,
course.
though. The
It's not
radiation is
technically a
Yeah.
nuclear reactor. It's I can't remember. Hopefully, no one is listening that likes MechWarrior because I'm
Don't worry, no one's
gonna
listening.
butcher it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there was one game where you had a possibility, like a 10% chance of if you killed them, then it would explode, like a nuclear explosion. But it was small, like a small.
And it just damaged other people around it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's kind of cool.
And it's also not just like giant pieces of metal and normal hydraulics and stuff. It was like ferrofibrous armor, which I just saw on Reddit the other day. I don't think it was MIT, but some like small lab created ferrofibrous armor, which is like this synthetic, stretchy, very very light armor that can take like a lot of damage.
Yeah.
kind of like spider silk almost.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw
really thick.
an idea earlier. It was not from Reddit, 'cause I don't know how to Reddit, but it was experimenting with taking carbon fiber and arranging it like it would be spider silk or whatever, like the same method. Or like if you were to get down on a microscope and see, oh, this is why spider silk is so strong. They're like, what if we just arrange carbon fiber like that? But then that whole process is super expensive, and it's like carbon fiber as it is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
So laying it appropriately, I'm assuming it would be super strong. But that was the idea with graphene. Graphene, the only problem was producing graphene. Because when I first saw graphene, I was just like, how come we don't use everything that is glass out of graphene? And they're like, it's expensive.
I hate that argument. I hate that idea. I was talking about this earlier, a couple weeks ago with my mom about cabinets. She's remodeling her house, and she's like, yeah, I'm getting cabinets that seal. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, each individual cabinet box is its own sealable entity. So if you put something in there and you close it, nothing's getting in or out. Ever. They're all sealable. They all automatically seal. So that's such a better idea. Such an improvement on what cabinets are now.
Yeah.
Why do old cabinets still exist? Shouldn't all cabinets now be sealable? It's like, yeah, but that costs money. That's an expensive idea.
Talking about like in a kitchen?
Yeah, kitchen
So
cabinet.
they're just modular. That's the big
Exactly,
thing. As
exactly.
opposed to me just opening the cabinet next to it and pulling over.
Right now, it's just a shelf with a front on it. That's all cabinets are. This one was sealable.
I heard an exterminator talk about. He's like, that's it. If we made to that change to modular cabinets, that's a better way to reduce rodents because they can get around from each side of the kitchen or wherever else you have those cabinets.
They can do it a lot better than you can.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a constant problem where I live with ants. These little tiny ants.
Yeah, I get them here
Yeah,
too.
me too.
Yeah.
The little black ones.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck,
That's a
man.
problem with it, actually.
Yeah. I try my best to like either kill them when I see them or put out ant traps. I've done so much, and then I guess it's just part of living in Hawaii. Because remember our old place, we always had like no matter how clean we tried to be, we had one dirty roommate. Like epically dirty to the point when he told me about who his roommate was because I hadn't lived with them yet. He used dirty as the adjective, like that's his title. It's like dirty, then this person's name. That's what we call him.
Yes, and the name was perfectly fitting.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
He has curly hair, but it's to the point where he'd be in the bathroom or the kitchen, and I couldn't tell if it was curly hair or pubic hair.
Yeah.
And then we got to the point where we started calling them all pubes.
Yes.
So the top head hair and pubic hair as well.
Yeah. Well, we're just like, we'd be anywhere in the house, and we'd see one curly hair. We're like, God damn it! Your pubes are over here!
It was never just one, though. It was like a pile. He sheds. He's like my dog.
He's an interesting guy. One day I want to have him on. Just.
Yeah, we need to. He'd be interesting.
It's never a normal day with him. But also he calls at the most inappropriate times. Like, only he knows when I'm on the treadmill. I swear to God he knows. It's like, hey man, what you doing? He always like, he's one of those people in today's age, he doesn't want to message you, he doesn't want to text you, he wants to call you. He wants to hear your voice.
No one does that.
No one does that. He's like, hey, and he has nothing to talk about. Nothing at all. He's just like, how's it going? What you doing?
It's like my dad.
He's like your dad.
He's like my dad. Huh.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Like, is that just me being an asshole, or is that him being...
I think it's just different ways that people express like the friendliness. Or like one
Is the message too informal? Like, does someone message... I prefer if someone messages me.
I prefer it too, yeah. And I think, like instead of just calling this person, I'll send a message first. If they want to call me, they're free
It's
to.
supposed to be more convenient.
But I'm not going
right?
to take their time, Like, not demand that level of attention from them. They can just text me.
Yeah, or they can
Some
read
people
it
see
and
the
get back
opposite.
to it.
Yeah, some people see it as the opposite.
I think my girlfriend sends me Facebook messages to audit when I see it.
Most likely. You took 3 hours to respond. Girl, Cuphead was getting real serious, I'm telling you.
Oh, man. Have you played Cuphead yet?
I have. I downloaded it on Xbox.
Dude, we have been doing the 2-player campaign. Love it. We
See,
gotta
I
finish
wanted
it. We're at the end.
I only have one controller, but I bought it so my wife could enjoy it, and she does. She actually likes watching it. 'Cause
Okay.
It's got that old music. And
Yeah. It's a run and gun, dude.
Yeah.
That whole genre is, like, vastly underutilized in today's day and age.
I just hate that. So I love the run levels,
Yeah, run and gun.
and I did not know that it was exclusively boss fights.
Originally, yeah.
Like, that's what they focus on.
Yeah.
There's I think there's 4 or 5 run levels throughout the whole game. Maybe more.
I think
6.
or 7.
Yeah, I think it's 6. I think it's 2 per
Barely more,
level.
Because I can do those. The boss fights, though, man. I've never been good at
How far are
those
you
type
at?
of games, though.
Like,
I'm-
Mega Man?
I haven't played in a week or 2. I'm at 50 or 60.
50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50. 50.
I'm not very far at all. I'm at the where you fly the plane and the genie.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it took us a while to get through that
That
one.
journey's pretty tough.
I'm actually good at the flying levels.
Really?
Yeah.
Me too, yeah.
He's
That's
better
not-
at it. Even though I won the last one
You
we
did.
did,
You did.
Do you
and
play
I was expecting it.
regular on the boss fights?
We always go simple first to warm up and acquaint ourselves with
Yeah.
what we're dealing with, and
Good
then we
idea.
go into regular.
I feel like it's better to try regular first.
Really?
Yeah. That I didn't know until later on though that there was not just a challenge difference, but like they add extra shit.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah,
play regular.
entirely different phases too.
I enjoyed though. I honestly like the music does it for me.
It's,
I
Yeah.
it's very
love that.
accessible, too. It's a hard game,
I like the announcer.
but anyone can look at it and
I'll
understand
for you a
it.
belt, so brew it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, what?
Great.
I think it's like good for a lot of like wives and girlfriends, or people who don't play video games much.
Yeah.
Like this, anyone can understand.
Filthy casuals.
Yes, it's hard.
Like, she doesn't have to play. She likes watching me. When I
I love how everyone squats all the time.
yeah.
Really strong legs in that universe.
when I cave myself off into the computer room, though, MechWarrior, on the other hand, that's not good.
She just walks back. I hate this.
And I don't play like how I did when we lived together.
Yeah.
I play
He would get home,
Maybe an
and
hour
then
or
the
two a day?
headsets would go on instantly.
Really?
Yeah. I think I have over 2,000 hours logged in that game on Steam.
I think I'm up to like 2,000 hours in like Dota. But a lot of that's just leaving the menu on and not actually playing.
Yeah, and Steam logs that, which is
Yeah.
weird.
Steam logs that.
Yeah, when you're just in the menu, because sometimes I'll just load it up to see if any of my friends get on.
Yeah.
I'm sure it helps with their metrics, where they're just like, what do people actually play?
Mhm.
That's a lot of reason why like Dota tends to be up in high numbers of players per day. There's usually not that many actual people playing, but a lot of people just leave it open.
So
Is there anything you played for a long time? I can't think of anything you would like stick to for
On
a
Steam?
long time. Yeah.
It's called Monster Hunters, son. I'm waiting for it to come out.
Even that, though.
he's a very diverse gamer. I
Yeah.
realize that.
Yeah.
I play a lot of.
Well, a lot of things you play, there's not repetitive things. It's like the story, there's an end to it. Whereas in
Correct.
these games, there's not really an end to it. It's just an experience.
You remember that? What was it, like a
Yeah.
month? I just sat down and played Witcher, and you're like, you're still playing this?
Yeah.
He would come home, and it's just like another part of Witcher. And I swear, you kept coming in only at the parts where I was like fucking someone in
Yeah,
the
the
game.
game. It's like, is this the main point of the game? That game is gorgeous, though. I
Yes,
almost bought
yeah.
it.
It's a really good game. It's
Dude, if I would recommend any game at all, it would be Witcher. So it's the most awarded game. Last I checked, most awarded game so far, like in gaming history. So I still put out the title that it's the greatest game ever made. Other than that, I'd be like, what else you got? Like Ocarina of Time. It's a short list of
It's up
what's
there.
the greatest.
Yeah.
Not Dark Souls.
No,
I'd
no.
say Bloodborne.
I enjoy Dark Souls, but I
I
wouldn't
liked
recommend
Bloodborne.
it for a lot of people.
But I don't have PlayStation.
I'm buying one solely for Monster Hunter because
You should Bloodborne,
it's
yeah.
going to PC too, but I can't wait. Not only can I not wait, the way Monster Hunters works, there is a little bit of a meta. If you don't start early enough, you'll never be at like that super front of the line of like really good
There's
players.
a bulk of players that like moves forward.
Who started
with it.
way before everyone else.
Yeah.
But in my mind, that means I'll be done before everyone else, and then I could just make whatever armor set I want.
That's a lot of fighting games too. Like
Yeah.
if you get in early, everyone's learning together, so you move like a bulk of people. But if you start late, like everyone's already kind of
At
laid
this
out
certain
at their
point.
skill levels.
Yeah. I think it's one of the most intimidating thing for people to start MechWarrior right now.
Yeah, it's
Everyone's already so good.
and they've done a lot of updates lately, which is one of the other main things I love about that game. It's also one of the most hated things from community players.
They change stuff.
Yeah, and they don't do things right. The developers are really great at constantly giving new products. Like they're creating a new map. They release new mechs almost every 2 months, I want to say, which is huge. But all the things that are wrong in the game, they're not focused on. So I don't think there's really much wrong in the game at all. That's why I love it so much. But a lot of people complain about little
The common complaints
tiny
don't get
things.
fixed.
Yeah. And most of them have no idea about programming or developing. So I always give the benefit of the doubt to them. 'cause
It might
it's
be a
like-
bigger fix than they think it is.
Yeah, and
And
I
you gotta think
think
about
they've
too,
done a great job. So.
what brings in new customers? Is it fixing little problems, or is it making it bigger or better?
Pissing off your community that you already have and are committed to you.
Yeah. Is there any microtransactions in that or anything?
There are a lot.
Okay.
So admittedly, I've spent a decent amount of money on that game. But
You
you
should
don't
have asked
have
your
to.
wife about it. She's like, yes, he spends money on it.
Yeah. Well, we each allot ourselves monthly money to spend on
Fun
whatever.
money?
It doesn't matter.
That's fine.
I think it's
So-
healthy.
And I never go over that in terms of MechWarrior. So.
Yeah.
But so they are making, and it's coming out sometime in 2018, hopefully. The new single player MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, and it's supposed to be their like retribution, like bringing back MechWarrior to what it used to be. I think the last one was MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries. I might be wrong on that, but that was like 2000 or something like that. But I have a lot of nostalgia with that game, and most of the cult following does too. Like they played MechWarrior 2 when they were like teenagers. I want to say at least 75% of the guys that play on a weekly basis are in their 40s.
I've been playing a long time.
Yeah, and they constantly play. They have their gripes and stuff with it, but the game is good enough to keep playing.
I think every gamer has the series they stick to like that. Like
Yeah.
Mine's definitely Devil May Cry. I'll always go back and love those games, even though they're not that great. A lot of them aren't that great. You probably Monster Hunter. You have a lot of those like that though.
What do you mean?
Like a lot of old series that you'll just go back and play again. You
Definitely.
kind of cycle back through those like.
Dude, that's my whole life.
Yeah.
Where people are just like, why are you watching that show or that, or playing that game or reading that book? And
I don't read.
well, huh?
You don't read.
I read occasionally. It takes like, it's mainly a nostalgia driven decision for me to do something like that. And I've done it with The Hobbit. So it's like, why are you reading The Hobbit right now? You know the movie's out, right? And I'm like, I don't think the movie's the worst thing that could ever happen. They made it a point to try to fit in songs in it, which are a huge part of the book.
Yeah.
And I still like the Rask. It's like Banky or whatever. I was telling you about the 1977 Hobbit edition that I really like. It's one of the things that sparked my nerddom. But they have all the songs in there too. In fact, I think they could have made a better movie if Peter Jackson would have watched that and just recreate it with live action. Also, I don't need 3-part series. I get it. You're trying to tell the full story and what the time that it reserves. But at the same time, if you do that and then key parts are missing and you added in a bunch of shit that didn't happen, I'm like, what the fuck was all that for? Now it seems like a cash grab.
Was it you telling me about this, or I might have been something I read about? That the woman who plays the elf chick in that series, she specifically said, like, I'll be in the movie, but do not put me in a love triangle.
Yes.
And they do,
exactly,
but they didn't,
yeah.
They didn't act it that way, they just edited it that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny. Like, oh, sure, yeah, we sure won't.
Why would we do that? It's 2016.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, you're going to put her in the love triangle, right? Oh, yeah, I got you on editing.
Yeah, we got the extra scenes in. It's fine. She'll record those scenes.
I love quoting in that movie because it's one of the only unique jokes I wrote myself. Legolas could escape anything. You watch the original trilogy and you're just like, man, Legolas just used a shield as a sled. He can get out of any situation. Man, Legolas just sprinted ahead of the group and took out 2 orcs with an arrow. He's truly amazing. And then you get to the point where you realize Legolas can escape a building falling sideways and gravity can't get out the friend zone.
The only thing he can't escape is his fate for women.
So he settles for Gimli.
Yeah, his best friend.
But yeah, that's one of the greatest lines in the entire movie series, where he was just like talking about he didn't want to die. He never thought he would die next to a dwarf, and then Gimli's like, "How about a close friend?" And you're just like, you can feel bro wieners just rap at that point.
Greatest love story of our time.
But yeah, I try to play like an eclectic. I just play what I want to play for the mood of the time.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing a game for a community, or that's why I feel like people who play PUBG, they play PUBG to be good at PUBG, or to be good at what's popular.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just want to play what's going to get me the most enjoyment at the time, so I end up playing random shit. Like that's why I load up emulators and play. I recently played through Golden Sun. I had no fucking reason to play through Golden Sun. Like, who are you going to brag to about that?
Yeah. I think YouTube and streaming has kind of been a big part of that.
And Twitch, yeah.
Big movement of like, oh, here's what's huge now. Everyone's playing at the same time.
Yeah.
There's definitely money in it too. So
Well, yeah, like a lot of companies are trying to bring that in, like trying to catch that audience.
super
with
comfy,
products.
and I can't blame them. Could you imagine if like, hey, what if you fucking hate your day job and you just want to sit home and play video games? Like,
Yeah.
how many? I guess if you asked a 14-year-old kid, what's your dream job? He's going to be like, game tester. Like,
There's a lot of that when I was in school.
yeah. So it's just like, I'm not going to knock someone trying to make that their reality,
Yeah.
especially in today's day and age where it's more feasible to do that.
Well, and that's also an uneducated dream job, you know? Like, it's fine to have a dream job, but there's a big difference between knowing yourself and knowing enough about the world to actually know if that's your dream job, if that's what you're going to enjoy.
Professional
in
floor
in a
testing.
reality thing. Right. Or if it's just like something you enjoy as a kid and you think, oh, I want to do this forever. Like, well, realistically, will you want to do that forever? Or will it ruin it?
And yeah, it's a whole bunch of things. It's like, if you want to enjoy it. Like right now, if someone's like, do you want to quit your current job and just be a podcast? I'm like, I wouldn't enjoy it.
No.
I wouldn't enjoy it. I feel pressured to do content every single day.
Yeah.
We just took like 3 months off.
That's why
Or not
we
3
also
months,
went.
like 3 weeks off.
We've already ran out of personality. We have to bring people in now.
I didn't have personality to start
I
with.
know.
That's why I draw upon references to make up for my lack of personality.
This is good.
PUBG though, man.
Have you
I
tried
haven't
it?
It's
played.
such a toxic community. So all the guys that
think
I
all
work
the
with
popular things become toxic.
love PUBG. And that's another thing I love about MechWarrior. The guys, everybody plays that for the most part. There's a rotten apple here and there, but so friendly,
Yeah.
welcoming. Like if they know you're new, they'll help you out. PUBG, you get into that first lobby where it's just 100 people waiting for the plane to leave. You hear the craziest shit.
Taiwan.
Fuck you! Like just ridiculous.
All the racial slurs in the book.
Why does it get... It's so interesting to me that you're like, I'm playing this game. Obviously, it's to ruin other people's time.
It's the anonymity.
Why does it go so quick to racism?
It's
Like,
the anonymity. And that's like the modern, like, this is the worst thing you could say, so say
Yeah.
it then.
okay.
No one's going to be able to punish you for it, whatever.
Everyone's
Probably.
super race sensitive right now, and aside from that, with this whole Weinstein thing, everyone's like sexual harassment sensitive. And we've been making Kevin Spacey jokes all fucking week.
Me?
No, you've been saying it, and then I say terrible
I
shit.
might be behind the loop on that. I've heard about the Weinstein thing. I don't know what's going on with it, which is funny because at work I watch a lot of YouTube, and a lot of it's just
That's what we do at work.
a lot of feminist stuff, just to hear the stupid shit,
Right.
and a lot of Ben Shapiro because I love the
Yeah, he's
the back and
pretty good.
forth. But I've seen a lot on Kevin Spacey and Weinstein, but I don't look into it.
So someone came
Yeah.
out that Kevin Spacey either sexually assaulted or raped him when he was
14?
14 when he was
Yeah.
14. And this is like 1980s.
But he was
Raped
at-
him.
Yes,
Okay.
Kevin
but
Spacey.
Kevin Spacey, or this person was at Kevin Spacey's party, which is insinuated to be, it was a Hollywood party for adults.
Yeah. And he was there as a 14-year-old because he was a child actor or something like that. And Kevin Spacey, between him and allegedly, Kevin Spacey did some stuff to him. And after that came out, Kevin Spacey very quickly came out that he was gay. And people took that to mean, oh, that's his defense of being accused of something. It's like, well, I'm gay. Like that was his
The
like,
quote
explanation.
was, "I will now live as a gay man." And originally, when him and I were talking about it, he says, "What an odd defense for someone to have." Where you were just like,
Right, now you just told us what you're into. And it's more likely that you rape a boy now because you're gay.
"Yeah,"
Like, it'd be less likely if you were
which
straight
is a
or
totally separate
heterosexual.
topic. Pedophilia and homosexuality
Right, no,
are
there's no
tethered
time
to each
between
other.
Yeah.
Like, heterosexuals aren't pedophiles and pedophiles aren't heterosexuals by nature.
Yeah.
You can be gay and a pedophile, or you can be straight and a pedophile, or you can be one of those and not that.
Yeah.
It's completely...
Mutually exclusive.
they're mutually exclusive. But, like, people took that as... That was his defense for being accused of pedophilia a long time ago.
And I was telling him, he's like, it's like if you get caught raping a clown, and someone's like, "It's okay, I love the circus." Like, that's...
Thanks for providing that. There were some clues here. Thank you for confirming that element.
That's funny though, because I just recently saw randomly. I don't know how recent it was. It looked recent. I didn't check the date, but Corey Feldman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was recent, right?
Yep.
He's trying to like
Create.
Trying to make it
the true Hollywood.
His mom apparently said he's a hack.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. His mom's like, "Don't trust him. He's just trying to get your money."
And
$4 million.
Yeah.
In an
It's
interview, they
his
said,
Kickstarter or whatever.
They
like,
kept
to make a
saying-
movie.
"Oh, you're making a documentary about revealing like what's really going on in Hollywood." And he kept saying, "Not a documentary. It's a dramatic film. Not a documentary. It's a film."
That's
I
So,
thought
like-
so. It's a mixed message where you're like, "I'm going to get to the truth," but dramatically. Like,
Yeah, no, like I think sounds like to me, and this, I'm not been that
Relaunch his
exposed to
career.
it. Yeah, one that, and like he's riding the wave of this like, all right, let's bring out what's not acceptable anymore. Like really point these things out. He's riding that wave of people being mad. Like, yeah, give me your money. Like I'm with you. Pay me, and I'll do this. Like I'll reveal everything. And they'll pay him. It's like, oh, but actually, I'm just making a movie. And for like legal reasons, you can't say it's a documentary. It's just a film.
See, people like that, the teen stars from that whole generation that fell off the earth, would probably do a lot better doing what we're doing, or just
talking about
YouTubing
it.
in general. Like they would get such a huge.
A lot of them do. So like Vanilla Ice, he's one that very much has fallen off of fame. He's got a
he's got a TV show.
Makeover show.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So like they find smaller work and they do speaking roles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like I met Gates McFadden doing like Comic-Con circuits. All she does now is like go on these big tours of things and just go be Gates McFadden somewhere because she played in Star Trek a long time ago.
Okay,
it's got to be.
That's
draining.
how they make money. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Probably is.
He's Trekkie too.
Yeah,
so we can talk about that.
So it's like really you only need to get famous once, and you can ride that wave. Less profitable, but ride that wave for kind of a while.
Yeah.
If you play the cards right. And it sounds like some people are trying to bump back up and get back in the limelight again through kind of shady methods.
Dude, props to fucking who's the chick who played Hilary Duff? Have you seen like any recent photos of her?
No.
Isn't she like still the most like clean?
Yes, she's someone who was a child star who didn't go crazy, didn't have an alcohol.
The
No
Disney child star.
Yeah. She was on specifically that group, which is known for getting in trouble. Minus Justin Timberlake. He's like the only one who stayed above all that bullshit.
He's just been on the rise since
Yeah.
It's getting better and better.
He left and then brought sexy back to us. So she actually was one of the lucky ones who got out. I think appropriately. Life gives you certain exit stage rights, and if you don't heed it, that's where you overstay your welcome.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf. And
Take a bow.
yeah, take a bow out. There's nothing wrong with
Go out
that.
on
Like
top.
you don't have to be famous your entire life.
Well, I mean, if it's the only life you know, though, that's kind of different.
But there's always a time where you're like, okay, I feel like this phase of my life is over.
I mean, for a child star specifically, since like they've been in that for so long as children.
To me, that only
Kinda-
makes so much more sense that they should try to pursue a normal life then. To be
no.
well-rounded and well-balanced.
Definitely. But
I get why you're saying like they wouldn't be likely to do
it's a lot
that.
harder, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To step away from life is
Because
so
it's
much
their
like,
whole
you know,
world at that point.
Right. Yeah.
But the whole thing is, if you don't, you're always just... They have to be somewhat aware that they're a ridiculous person. When they go out and they meet normal people... Because it's not like we hide the normal people from celebrities. If anything, we create ropes on which the barriers begin.
Yeah.
And then just they all rush up like,
You're
oh my
on
god, I
one
want to
side,
see you. But it's
you're
like...
on the other.
Exactly. So, even though they are separate, they should definitely be aware that there is a normalcy.
And they're not it.
And they're not it. Exactly. Otherwise, you end up Jaden Smith in the Yokio.
That's the
Oh,
thing.
God.
I can't stand the kid, but I also can't blame him for being himself.
I can blame him.
Like, what else did he know? Like, what else could he have been?
Well, his dad's Will Smith, and that's a certain level of fame that
It's massive.
it's like we're never going to understand.
From like his birth, he's been publicized, basically.
Yeah, celebrity
So-
baby photos are a fucking thing.
Huge, yeah.
Wasn't it like Angelina Jolie Smith? Like Angelina. I can't think of her full name now.
Angelina Jolie.
Jolie.
Just Jolie. I
Yeah.
don't know why I went with Joe Smith. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That's
Is
why I
that
went
her
with that.
last name? Lee.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's a-
Okay.
Jolie.
I think she's
She's single now. If you look at now,
me.
Yeah.
specifically you. Specifically you. She has a charitable heart.
Great deal older than I am.
Well,
She kissed her brother. Not doing it just off that.
What?
Do you know about that?
No.
That's like one of her biggest.
yeah.
So
yeah.
back in the day, she was considered like the craziest girl in Hollywood because she was
Oh.
like romantic with her brother.
I don't think any of them are the actual crazy. They just like they've got publicists who tell them this will be good for your
She
career.
kept like a vial of her ex-boyfriend's blood.
Yeah.
Who was
Yeah,
Billy
around her
Bob
neck or
Thornton.
something,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's just like, it's just
They both did.
so I could always take him with me.
I think it changes you though, like being in the limelight
Famous?
like that. Yeah.
Oh, it has
It has
to.
to affect you.
It has to.
I mean, there's so many people.
Except
surrounding you.
Keanu Reeves. Let me believe
He
that.
seems pretty okay. But like,
He
could
is
you
awesome.
imagine so many people
He's
around
not
you
okay, by the way.
constantly telling you?
He's not okay.
He's been on mic several times where he's just like, I'm kind of depressed. And he's just super maybe that's the healthy thing, though, of talking about it. We have this stigma of mental health. It's just like, you don't talk about it. Your problems are your problems.
You're Keanu
That's
Reeves.
between
can
you
only
and your
be
shrink.
awesome.
Yeah. I have
Can't be anything
a...
else.
Let me see
I
if
don't
can
know.
find a picture.
Nowadays, it seems more and more.
What was that movie that you told me to check out from him, where it's like the young girls? From
Oh yeah, Knock Knock.
Knock Knock.
I watched that on a
Dude.
plane, and I was like, "No, Keanu," the whole time. Like, no. Like,
Yeah.
this-
Are you familiar with the premise? So two young girls. All right, I gotta back up. So he's a happy married family man.
Yeah.
And wealthy, yeah,
He's an
very
engineer.
wealthy. He's an engineer, and he's
Okay.
working from home. And
This is Keanu Reeves.
Architect.
yes, and his wife's also a successful artist. Like she makes sculptures and arrangements,
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
They got two
Installations.
kids.
That's correct. Yeah, they have kids, and they initially planned to go on vacation together. But he's like, "Hey, work came up. I have to stay here and get some work done."
Okay.
And she's like, "That's fine. I'll take the kids." I think they're in Madrid for where it's
Yeah,
shot.
somewhere
They're
abroad.
in Spain or something.
Yeah.
And his wife's Spanish too. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's Madrid. And she's like, "It's fine. I'll take the kids, and you can get your work done. We'll still have a fine vacation, and
Yeah.
you'll be super productive."
Mother kid take.
That doesn't happen in real life, by the way.
No, I'm sure it doesn't. So
Free time.
my girlfriend has left me with the dogs for 2 hours. I got nothing done. She, so she's like, she takes the kids.
Yeah.
It starts raining heavily.
Okay.
Two young teenage girls.
Yeah, you
Question
don't
mark?
know,
You don't
yeah.
know their ages. Two very young girls knock on his door. "Oh my God, our phones are dead. Can you please let us inside? It's raining, please." And he's just like, yeah, sure. I
Is
guess."
that your Keanu Reeves impression?
No, that was just his reluctant. I'm a married guy.
Whoa. Okay.
That's
Whoa.
Owen Wilson. But he lets them inside. Mistake number one.
Wait, you watched the whole movie, right?
I watched the whole
okay,
movie.
Okay.
So he lets them inside. We probably should have said spoiler alert. So I've literally just set up the movie so far. But if you haven't seen that movie by this long,
Yeah.
fuck you.
I fell under the radar too. So.
Yeah,
I
it
haven't heard
is.
of
It
it.
is, and I think it's a great movie. So
What happens next?
what happens next is the girls are just kind of flirting with him, asking about him. They smoke weed, right? They like smoke, and they're like,
he
"Quit
was
being-"
already smoking.
correct. Oh,
to
that's
do his
right.
Work.
Yeah,
So,
so
it kind of showed like a side of him that
he hides
whatever.
from his wife. Yeah, because he's just
Maybe.
like it's like insinuated like he's quit smoking and he like does it when she's not there.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Smoke weed with us. Our clothes are wet. Can we put it in your dryer?" And then they're like in their underwear, and then they like pretty much seduce him in his own shower.
Wait, you're skipping like a lot of stuff.
I am.
So he's very reluctant. He's got a wall up, right?
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
time, like all the
He's
way
trying to
through
be a
the
good husband.
Yeah, and he is.
Yeah.
I still agree. Even after the end of the movie, he is. But yeah, they just keep pressuring him, and then finally they're like, "We kind of need to take a shower." They take a shower, and then they ask
At
for
the same
something
time.
while he's in there, or something like that. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, both of them.
And he's like, "What do you need? The towels are there." Like
Yep.
he's like avoiding going in, and then finally he goes in, and yeah, basically just to cut it short, they seduce him.
And
they're
in the
like,
morning, he's instantly like, "I didn't mean to do that. I'm a married man. I'm happy. I didn't mean for any of that to happen." And they're like, "We're underage, and we'll tell the authorities you raped us, and so you have to do what we say."
No, he wakes up to them.
They trash the
crazy-
house.
Yeah, they trash the house, and he's
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is going on?" He goes in, and they're like,
Make
making
us pancakes or
breakfast
something like that.
Yeah. And there's just food everywhere, and he's like, "You guys gotta go." Blah blah blah. And then I don't know, it's like 10 minutes of
blackmail.
that. Then they finally go, and he's like, "Oh God, thank God, it's over."
I can go back to my work.
And
He's
then-
got to like pick up the kitchen or whatever.
I don't even remember exactly what happens, but they come back, and it's
That's where they get
just
aggressive.
a nightmare after that. Yeah.
There's a point where they're like, "Are these girls trying to fucking kill me?"
Is it like a horror thriller movie?
It turns into that.
Yeah.
It slowly progresses to the point,
Yeah.
or digresses to that point.
See, you don't even have to spoil anything at this point.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much that happens.
Right,
But
it's crazy.
I would say watch it, but also you were the one who told me about this. I was looking around the whole time, so I had a little bit of an inside note. There's stuff all throughout that movie that says this is a dream, and it's to the point where he wakes up and he's looking around, and it's like painted on the walls. It's insinuated the girls do it, and everything says this is a dream, and the whole time his dialogue's like, "Oh God, how can this be happening to me?" So the movie's kind of open-ended in that he actually did all these things, and the movie ends where the girls are about to pretty much kill him, and his wife's about to get home simultaneously. So it builds up all this tension and dread of him, A, getting caught, B, his wife leaving him, and C, actually being killed by two crazy teenage girls.
There's so many options and all of them are bad.
Exactly. But if you look around the entire scenery of the movie the whole time, there's like spray painting on the walls or in tiny text. I think one of the girls is wearing it on her shirt that says, "This is a dream." Like that same phrase throughout the movie.
I just want to watch it again.
I would say watch it again. And there's so many like little spots you put out. It says, "This is a dream." So I'm wondering if none of it ever happened. But the whole thing is the movie ends and the screen goes black and you're still left wondering if it's a dream or if any of that happened. Is he actually about to get caught?
No. She at the last scene. This is.
I thought it was The Rock.
Oh yeah, they come in, the wife and kids, and immediately they just see graffiti all over her artwork and all this shit, and then the kid, like the last line is the kid saying, "Daddy had a big party" or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But I'm saying, like, what if that's just his dream continued? Because even on the walls when they walk in, it still says "This is a dream" and everything everywhere.
Oh, that kind of sounds like
that.
some too crazy young people would start writing on stuff.
I don't know. I think it's a foreign film. I mean,
but they also like post to like Facebook and they put the phone in front of them.
Yeah. There's some crazy. They like live streamed him and they're like jumping on him. They're like, "You have to do what we say."
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it, unless that doesn't interest you at all.
Yeah.
But I feel I'm one of those people that like you can tell me all the things that happen in a movie, and
I still want to see it myself.
Yeah.
I'm the same way too. I'm the same way.
It's super interesting. And you know directors better than I do, so you'll probably see it and be like, I know this person's work. I can't think of that.
It reminds me a lot of this movie. I can't remember her name.
Sounds like The Strangers a little bit.
The Strangers?
Yeah, there's a horror movie where like,
yes, I love that movie.
What's that movie with? I can't remember her name, and I can't remember the other movie I'm thinking of to relate it to. But she's in the movie where she gets pregnant with the kid from Superbad.
Knocked Up?
No. Not
The
comedy like that.
Michael Cera?
Yeah, Michael Cera.
Me?
Yeah.
Juno.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
chick.
yeah.
She's in a movie before that.
Ellen Page.
Yeah, Ellen Page. It's her with this guy, and I don't remember how they come in contact, but she finds out somehow that he's a pedophile, and she like tortures him the whole time.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he's a pedophile? I've never heard of
I
this.
remember that.
Really good movie. So good.
I've heard of it.
She doesn't like. She does physically torture him at one point, but like throughout the movie, she's like kind of on the edge.
Eli Roth directed it.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Yeah.
pretty known director.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I didn't get... I just don't pay attention to directors' names, but now I want to go through and realize, Hostel.
Oh yeah, he did Hostel.
Yeah,
Okay,
that makes sense. That sounds like a movie he'd make.
Sorry to cut you off from your story. Getting back to it.
I don't know what else I was gonna say.
Well, before we weren't answering questions. We would just have open-ended questions, and no one ever got back to us in the comments. I feel like the show would be so much better if we can actually get some comments going. And then...
I still need to make a Reddit account.
Yeah, you failed me,
Yeah,
sir.
sure.
You had one job.
I love Reddit. I will search Reddit at work and just read the most.
I just feel
interesting
like
things.
there's so much ground floor noise that if we were like, hey, we have a podcast, like it wouldn't make it through it.
There's enough people, though, that like...
Even if it's just
I don't
like 20
understand
people.
it, but there's people who just like to go to very new things before anyone knows about it, just so they see it first.
That's true. Yeah.
Or like, they're early adopters of things. There's certainly a number of people who just do that.
If I get one neckbeard who just lays into me and tells me how much of a shitty editor I am, that's all I need.
We know.
No one is more aware of my faults than I.
Yeah. We listen to this. We know that. But actually, when you pull up IMDb, pull up Thor. I want to talk about Thor.
The movie?
Yeah.
The Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Well, he just explained that you can spoil stuff for him.
Yeah, that's true.
That's part of it helps too.
I feel like that's not a movie where there's really much
Not really,
spoilers.
no, it won't
so.
hurt.
No.
So what does Chris Pratt play in Thor?
He's Chris Hemsworth.
No. Chris Pratt is in
Chris Pratt?
Ragnarok.
In the comments?
I saw something.
I didn't see him anywhere in there.
You
You
didn't?
mean Matt Damon?
No,
Matt Damon
Chris
is
Pratt.
in there.
Matt Damon's
Matt Damon's in there. It's hilarious.
I just saw
Chris Pratt?
on Instagram, which I just recently got back. I don't do Facebook anymore,
Yeah.
and I didn't do Instagram for a while. I kind of cut off, and then I got it back on Instagram for my tattoo thing.
Yeah.
And I saw one of my old feeds. I follow Chris Pratt because he's really cool, and he was pictured with someone from Thor, like a small actor, and he said something like, "Great, we're finally done. Blah blah blah. Go see the movie."
Huh. I didn't know
It wasn't Chris Hemsworth. It was Chris Pratt.
Maybe he was a background character or a voice. Maybe.
Yeah,
Because the
Chris Pratt.
director does a voice in the movie too. Taika
Really?
Waititi. Yeah. Have you seen the Things We Do in the Shadows?
No,
The New Zealand film
that sounds kind of familiar.
with one of the guys from Flight of the Conchords, Jermaine. Do you like Flight of the Conchords?
No.
No?
Wait. Flight of Concord. That's a comedy group, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So their show, one of the guys, Jermaine, he got pretty famous coming off the show. He's in a couple of movies that are very New Zealand, like the comedy style is very New Zealand. The director's from New Zealand, Taika Waititi, and they took that comedy style, like Taika Waititi's style.
Mhm.
He directs this new Thor movie. So the bone structure, I say, is very much still Marvel, but Taika Waititi adds in his own flavor, and it's really good. He's a hilarious director, and he does the voice of one of the best characters in the entire movie. It's very, like, New Zealand comedy, 100%. It's pretty good. I didn't hate it. I usually hate Marvel movies. I usually don't like them at all.
Yeah. Do you like any of the Captain Americas?
No. In fact, his might be the worst ones.
For me, I don't know why. I think I don't know why, but Captain America is my favorite character, and I really like how they did the movies.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Even the Civil War, I thought was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, I really like Civil War. But I don't follow Marvel Universe as much as probably you or him, so that's probably why I like it more. But
Every time I see a Marvel movie, I leave it thinking, I'm never going to watch another one of these. Because it's the same movie.
Put your
every time.
back, bitch.
And every time you're like, let's go see this, like, fine. Thor was probably the first one that I haven't left thinking, like, I wasted my time.
Really? I like Iron Man 1 a lot.
Well, that's so long ago now. That was before.
Okay.
yeah, the originals were
Before
so
the
good.
form-
Did I tell you about how they
Yeah.
filmed Iron Man 1? There was, it was all improvised acting. But there was descriptions like, okay, we're going to have this character and this character in the room.
This
Here's
needs
a
to
general idea of what needs to happen and what we're doing.
Yeah.
And from there, it was all ad-lib from, like, Robert
That's pretty
Downey
cool.
Jr.
That's cool.
I was impressed with that, yeah. And Iron Man's one of my favorite characters. I'm a big comic book fan as a whole. So
That was when the formula was fresh, though. So it's still like, oh, this is cool, like,
I like Spider-Man 1.
storytelling. But
I really do.
I think
did
same
too.
thing back then.
I did too.
Yeah.
Fly, web, fly.
Early 2000s,
It's like trying to guess the Spider-Man.
they were
answer.
just hitting the formula. Like, they just found what
Yeah.
works.
What works.
And now it's been so long.
The answer is
17
not
years.
James Franco.
It's been about 17 years of this same kind of formula.
Yeah.
Kind of going,
Well, they keep
Thor
trying to
kinda
change
got
it.
away from it, yeah.
Thor did still a little bit, but like I just mentioned him, he like walked out. It's got the same Marvel bone structure. While Taika Waititi, the
Mhm.
surface of it's way different. It's a lot of like really good comedy, really happy-go-lucky kind
The
of
presentation's
stylized. Presentation's
different.
way different. The bone structure's still the same. And I think it might be just that I'm not really that into superhero movies.
It's not just
And that's
superhero
why I'm not
movies,
enjoying
it's
it that much.
superhero storytelling. Like, that's
Yeah.
how you have to look at it. And some people look at, I don't know, from the gaming perspective, we're just like, this character's overpowered. Or from the outside view in,
Yeah.
and it happens definitely on the inside for comic books, people, the number one for claiming is overpowered is Superman. But that's the point of this character, and why we have superheroes as
You
a
can
whole.
still have cool and really interesting like ethical conversations, or
I feel like that's why the
analysis of
superhero was
things
created.
off of that.
Near World War One, where U.S. started being a showrunner for being able to do stuff that was previously impossible, that an entire country can enter into a war and help decide who wins. Like, be that much of a soul-winning
Nations became
factor.
superpowers.
Yeah, nations become superpowers, right? So we just kind of do, like, this microcosm example where we're just like, well, what if one person could be the superpower? And then on them would solely rely the responsibility to make these decisions that will then influence
Affect
everything, really. And that's kind of why Superman was there, and that's why we've always had superheroes in wars, even to the fact where, like, when the U.S. went to Vietnam, I think it was, it's where Iron Man came up. It was in the Vietnam conflict that originally he was not captured by, 'cause for the movie we adapted it, that was
Middle
like
Easterners.
Middle Eastern, exactly. So originally he was captured by the Vietnamese, I believe, and that's where he makes the Iron Man Mark 1 armor, and he comes out. That's why he uses a flamethrower and everything, because it was still a valid method of combat at that point. I believe in the Geneva Conventions now
It's
we don't
banned.
have it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
banned. You can't
Yeah.
use flame weapons
Yeah.
because it makes the body unrecognizable.
So
So
it's
when,
tickling.
Well, yeah.
tickling? Did you say
Napalm.
tickling?
Yeah.
Are you joking? Right?
Tickling is banned by the Geneva Convention.
No,
yes.
no fucking way.
I'm serious. Because actual
It's like the
force
best
of
form of
long-term
torture.
tickling is probably one of the worst tortures.
Oh, okay, I could see
It's in
that.
it. It's in there.
I know wooden rounds. You can't use wooden rounds because the
Splinters.
yeah. Well, so you would get infection, and then it would be an awful fucking like you have to amputate at the time, and then mainly it's just it would cause infections, and you would need multiple surgeries to get them all out.
Crossbay nets were banned.
Yes, correct.
because it wouldn't, like a knife wound isn't that hard to help fix.
Yeah.
Like, I could just
Yeah.
sew it back up.
Patch.
Especially
You got it. Yeah, you can immediately stop the bleeding by putting pressure and
So
everything.
they started making bayonets that wasn't just one blade straight. It was like a cross blade.
Right.
So like multiple like that. So when it wasn't a straight knife wound like that. It was like
Tear
a ripped,
everything
torn
open.
hole,
Yeah.
basically. Like a spike more than anything. Those got banned. And chemical weapons got banned too.
So, yeah.
Thor.
Well, no, I think that's definitely, I think, is on topic, and it pulls back to if you were some kind of ridiculously superpowered being, and you were capable of stepping in and like, all right, you normal fucks, quit doing what you're doing.
Right.
But on the same time, what's the antithesis of the superhero? You always have the supervillain, and they're saying, what if you're dealing with an opponent who either has zero morality or so much power, like a nuclear bomb, like chemical weapons, that could just step up to the plate and be like, I just killed a whole city. Like, so
Yeah.
now you have the ultimate reason. So with the ultimate reason, you use extreme prejudice and you use like nuclear level attacks or world-ending attacks on something, and is it justified after the fact? Because that was the biggest thing, I think, with the Superman movie, the first Superman movie. I think it's Superman Returns. I could be wrong on that, but they try saying, well, even if you do have laser vision to level an entire block, doesn't mean you should fucking use it because
Right.
there's so much collateral damage.
Yeah,
And that was the thing in Avengers, the collateral damage in New York,
It's the analogy for mutually assured destruction.
for sure.
Because if you think about it, the longer that nuclear weapons exist, the longer that the whole planet's in a hostage situation where only a small handful of people hold the keys.
I would look at
They
it
can decide not
as
to.
less of the planets in a hostage situation, and I guess this is like half glass full or half glass empty. I would say that's the longer that we've...
Glass full. Or you mean glass half full?
Sure.
That's a half glass.
That's exactly... Oh,
Shot
no,
glass-
that,
shot glass full. Shot glass
that's
empty.
a running joke I've heard for... So, an optimist would look at the glass as being half full.
Yeah,
A pessimist will look at it half empty. The engineer will look at it and saying it's two sizes too large.
Oh yeah.
So,
I'm a pessimist, for sure.
for sure...
Yeah.
It's funny because
I've always
whenever
been
I've talked to
pessimist.
you, I felt like you had like a positive outlook.
Eh.
It depends what day we catch you and how drunk you are.
Yeah, maybe.
My favorite is one time we got him super sloshed near Honolulu, and he's lowering his own window in his car because he was too drunk to drive and yelling at people. Just random
What?
shit. I don't even remember what you were yelling. You were just yelling at people all drunk.
I like to do that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious.
I think we, yeah.
You remember that one time we were downtown, and the next day I was telling how drunk and hungover I was, and he's like, "You seem fine." I had vomited in my own mouth and swallowed it and like recycled it.
No.
It's so gross.
Really gross.
And then I was like, so he didn't see me puke, and I was like, I puked twice that night, and the second time he was talking to me. He turned away to talk to our other friend. Simultaneously, I turn and puke into a garbage can, and then come back straight ahead, and it just looks like nothing happened.
Oh my god. I think I know that night. That's where,
What's that pizza bar?
aforementioned, yeah, that was the night.
Yeah.
Old roommate. This was before his current girlfriend came
Yes.
into his life, and he kept talking to me like about, I'm never gonna find anybody, blah
Yep.
blah blah, super depressed, and alcohol made that come out even more. And for me, it's an awkward situation. I'm like, don't worry. And then of course, like he found someone, but
Yeah.
what?
He was just like, "You're a good guy."
What do you
Yeah,
say?
yeah,
Yeah, like so it's like I'm gonna be alone forever. Like
Maybe.
certain possibility, my friend.
It
Which is
totally
funny because this is a guy who has like tons of friends.
Yeah.
He's actually really popular here.
Yeah.
He's DJ parties all the time.
Yeah, he's always got someone he can call.
Yeah.
Versus, if I'm not talking to you two, it's just two other people I'm talking to.
Yeah.
And if I'm not talking to those four people, I'm asleep.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what you have or how many people you know. You can still be insecure.
For sure. There's people I think that are... I mean, we just talked about celebrities. Vastly popular, super insecure.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because they're popular because we hold them to such a high level of everything. Because they have to be a good person, they have to be intelligent, they have to be attractive.
They're always performing in a weird way.
Correct.
I would rule out intelligent, but
Some celebrities are dumb, and we love that about them.
Usually it's just the talent.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like dumb and
It
smart.
depends what you're famous for. Like, if Neil deGrasse Tyson said something stupid, I would be like, fuck him this week.
Well, that's an example of someone who always has to be right because there's people who...
Oh, yeah.
He nitpicks other people, so there are people who nitpick him.
Just fact check the shit out of everything he's saying.
Constantly.
I was with my wife last night. So no, you weren't, piece of shit.
It's his wife.
There's a Key and Peele skit about how Neil deGrasse Tyson deals with his wife.
I love that skit.
And he, like...
Actually.
Yeah, actually. She'd be like, Neil, you haven't been listening to me lately. And he's just like, actually. And he goes on an existential reason why no one being listened to matters at all. And then it just, like, segues off. She's like, Neil, you're doing it again. And, like, the universe theme is going around
It's like
him.
crushing her.
Yeah. And she forgets what he's talking about. And then it's just, like, he's doing the universe show again.
He's like walking down a beach with a dog again.
Dude, it's such a great thing. And every time she tries, like, bringing up something legitimate about their relationship, he's just like, well, actually.
The sun.
yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty funny.
Well, sticking to the Hollywood actress theme, whatever you want to call it, I've been, like, crazy into criminal dramas lately. Like, I've been trying to find all these criminal shows, and some great ones have came out recently.
I have a number one for you. It's
Mindhunter?
Mindhunter, yes!
Yes! Oh my god, I love that
I've heard
show
so
so
much
much.
Dude, Big
You
Ed.
haven't watched it?
Big
No.
Ed makes
man.
my own dick, like, go inside my body. I'm like, I don't want to be...
Ed Kemper?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know he's...
A real
right?
person, yeah.
Did you watch the interview with him compared
No,
to
not
that?
yet.
Oh my god. They, like, took the exact words he said, and...
Huh.
Yeah, it's insane.
I've heard so much about this show.
Dude, it's
So
great. It's great. So from an acting perspective, but also a cinematography. That's what I was talking about at work. How great is it in that first episode? They get they have an important conversation next to a concert, and then they put up captions so that if you're a viewer watching the show, you have no
You
choice.
have to pay attention.
I had to put down what I was doing and read the captions if
Yeah.
I wanted the story.
Yeah.
Which is super interesting because today I turn on Netflix all the time, almost like your background noise with Always Sunny, and I just continue doing whatever, if I'm playing a phone game, if I'm
Do you do
replying to a comment, and then it's not background noise, like I'm still somewhat paying attention, but I'm
You're split,
multitasking.
yeah. I can't do it. I don't do it.
And they were just like, no, bitch, if you want the story, you're going to put down what the fuck you're doing
Yeah.
and read this. And it was super interesting and like an existential conversation about, pretty much they were outlining the premise of the show. And I had to put down what I was doing and pay attention to it. So I was impressed with that alone.
I never do that. I never split. I can't do it.
I don't know. I never used to do it. But now I just have so many people that require or warrant a response. I can't not pay attention for too
AKA
long.
your girlfriend.
No, more than that. More than that. We have our one super needy coworker that I've officially been put in charge
Oh,
of.
your son?
Yeah, my son.
Your baby boy?
So
Barry?
yeah, Barry. Jesus. He called me twice today.
Aw.
But I'm just like, that's a normal day. That's not. Oh, it's just like,
My parents call me like once a week.
really?
Sometimes.
How's you recently had a name change to
Yeah.
your.
Well, it's been a while, but...
Explain the premise to what warranted your name change, because I'm still utterly confused.
Really?
A little bit.
Okay, so
You don't have to
I
use
get
any
this all
names.
the time at work, but yeah, no. So, I got married just after the name change, so people don't really correlate the time and date, and everybody thinks, oh, I changed my name to her name.
Yeah.
Jack
Which
White it.
in-
Jack White it.
So yeah, it is considered...
It's uncommon, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad thing, but it is considered like
Taboo.
kind of a taboo or
It's
degrading is a
yeah.
little bit harsh of a word, but to a male, like to take the woman's name.
Emasculate.
So that's not what happened at all.
No.
But I've been wanting to change my last name for a long time because my mother never changed her name after she divorced my sister's father, which is not my father.
Yeah.
So
So you just got the wrong name, basically.
yeah,
If you want to see it
not
as,
blood
like,
tied at
you
all.
need your father's last name, then you have to do
Yeah.
name.
So I changed to my father's last name, which has an awesome line in history. Like, I actually met my grandfather for the first time 2.5 years ago. Awesome guy. Fucking amazing. He technically served in World War II, but he didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
He even admits to it, which I give him way more respect for. He was like, oh, I was a fucking paper pusher.
He could have been like, I was
Dude's
part of the
86.
greatest generation.
Yeah. He's 86, lives in Baltimore, along with the rest of my dad's family. And I went there for a funeral for my aunt, who I never met.
How do you feel about Baltimore? Not to cut off your
Baltimore's
story.
actually pretty awesome.
I went
love
there
Maryland.
recently for the first time.
The harbor is amazing. Best crab I've ever had. But anyways, so I went there for the funeral. This was before my name change. I met that whole side of the family. I met my grandpa, who's 86, still driving, still completely coherent, awesome to talk to. And yeah, he was like, I was a paper pusher, but I was in the Army. And he got out. He was a contractor for Westinghouse. He helped 20 years build the probably not the whole 20 years, but the F4 Phantom jet.
That's cool.
I'm an extreme aviation enthusiast, and that's one of my favorite jets. So
That's
when
like
I found
the big
that
black
out,
one. That's like,
no, you're thinking of the
Black Hawk?
no
that's how
the one that goes in space, right?
Yeah.
The surveillance one.
Yeah.
That's the
The one that was a
Blackbird.
huge secret, but then like
The
it
Blackbird.
was so cool. People had to show it off, like check the shit out.
It's awesome. They still use it.
Yeah.
The SR-71 Blackbird. That's what
That's
you're
what.
thinking
Yeah,
of.
that's one.
The F4 Phantom was used heavily in Vietnam, carried napalm a lot. And they used it a little bit after that, and then they finally scrubbed it. I think at the museum, there's one over on Fort Island.
You
F4
grab
Phantom.
design, help design.
He helped design the electrical
Awesome.
systems and all that, and so I bonded with him and blah, blah, blah. Me, him, and my dad took a picture next to each other, and it's so eerie seeing...
Like seeing the
Because,
similarities.
so my dad, I never lived with my dad my whole life.
Yeah.
He was states away from me, but he visited once in a while, and that was the first time I met my grandpa. And it was right then and there, I think, I was like, I'm going to change my name finally, because I've always wanted to. My sister's dad, nice guy, but at the time that he was with my mom, I want to call him a piece of shit, from what I've heard from my mom.
This is an honest place, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've listened to some episodes, you know that.
Yeah, from what my mom has told me, he wasn't a great guy, which surprises me why she never changed her name. And then me and she's older than me, but my youngest older sister got his name, even though her dad is different as well. But anyways, long story short, I changed my name to my dad's name, and then I got married so that my wife could have that new name too. How did this start?
Were you seen as like the long lost son when you finally met that other piece of your
No,
family you met before?
I've never been like the kind
Excluded?
of person to be like, I didn't have a dad. Oh no.
Yeah.
Like, I was fine. I grew up fine. He was still sort of part of my life. Now more than ever, he's part of my life. Like,
You reeled it.
yeah. Oh, I just grew up with my mom and my three sisters. So, yeah, it was some might call mama's boy, I guess. Just because I lived with my mom and three sisters. So I never got to learn about cars and how to fucking properly change your oil, shit
Which
like
is hilarious
that.
because you're into cars anyways.
Yeah. Oh, I still suck at doing those simple tasks. But, yeah. So I changed my name. Like I said, where'd this start?
I
You were
started
asking-
this off because
Confused as to-
someone recently asked me. I was describing how I was in your wedding, even though I don't remember it.
Mhm.
What a friend.
That's a story in its own.
Yeah, that's a story by itself. I was describing how I was in your wedding, and someone was like, hey, "What friend is this?" And it was my mother, and she's like, "What friend is this? And how have I not heard about them before?" I'm like, "You have. I lived with him for a year. It was just under a different name."
Different name, yep.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Well, why did he change his name?" I'm like, "That's a good question. You probably listen more."
Probably from his wedding some point. Might have came up.
Which to this day, I still use the knife that you gave me. That's still like
Dude,
the
I
coolest
lost
wedding
mine.
present. What?
Well, technically, I got
How
it stolen.
dare you! I'm throwing mine away tonight.
No.
No.
I have a habit of losing things, but
Tracker, man. There's a new app for that.
for a knife,
Anything you can
Did your
tag
phone
it.
get stolen?
Yeah. No. So you know
dude,
there's
the thing is gone. I left it in a mall
Oh,
dressing room, changing,
Oh yeah.
trying on pants or something, and I took it off and put it on the stand. Literally an hour later, I came back. I was like, "Hey, it's Hawaii. Can I check the dressing room? Blah blah. I check it. It's gone." And I asked them, "Oh, we'll call you back if we find it."
Someone turned it in.
Hawaii or anywhere else. in
some
town. It's
Hawaiian
long
dudes
gone.
walking around with that right now.
Yeah. And I was like, so it has my name on it. It has my inscription of the date I got married. It was, my, not a present, but it was my wedding knife, whatever you want to call it. So out there, some asshole stole a knife with my name on it.
And
And the day of my wedding, like,
It's the name of the knife.
yeah.
Weird name for a knife, man.
This kind of ties into what happened to me today. So
Explain.
yeah, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, we got to his weird subway story, but we haven't gotten to yours yet.
This one's a little bit more intricate.
We have time for it.
I don't want to draw it out too much. So I'm at the gym. I wanted to work out before I come here and have a few beers. So I have a bad habit of not locking my stuff in the locker at this gym. It's a 24-hour fitness, and they're actually pretty heavy on, hey, lock your lockers. I did buy a lock. I lost the lock. A few months
That's
ago.
perfect.
I'm horrible at losing shit.
Yeah.
Sunglasses and watches are my big two things.
Starting to discover you do have a bad habit.
Yeah. So I put my bag away, and then I go lift weights, and then I come back to my bag. I change into swimming trunks because I like to swim after I lift. My bag was still there. I go swim. Luckily, I take my phone still with me and my wireless, expensive-ass headphones with me out to the pool because I like to listen to them in the sauna after I swim. I swim maybe 2 laps or more than that, like 10 laps, and then get out, go in the sauna, blah, blah, blah. Maybe 25 minutes have passed. I come back in the locker room, bag's gone. And I'm like, wait, what? I look in the locker, my bag's gone, but my shirt that I was wearing for working out and the shorts that I was wearing working out are still there. My shoes are still there, but they're on the ground outside of the locker.
Huh.
And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, okay, wait, the bag's gone. Shit. At first, I was like, all my towels are gone, too, because they were in the bag. And I was like, oh, I can't change. Like, I can't shower and dry off. And that's what I was worried about most. And I was like, wait, was something else in the bag? No, my wallet's in the car. Good. Okay, good. And then I changed into my dirty... I had a pair of shorts in there and a clean shirt to change into after I swim. But my bag was gone, so that was gone. So I changed back into what I was working out in. And then I realized my fucking car keys were in the bag. And the car keys are not anywhere. So I fucking run out to the parking garage to check on my car. My car's there. I was like, okay, good. All right. And I start calling my wife because she has a spare key. Because I'm worried that, maybe they haven't found my car with the car keys.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to keep an eye on it. She doesn't answer. I call her like 10 times. She doesn't answer her phone. So I go to the front desk, report it to them at the gym. And I'm still like trying to piece together everything that's happening because it doesn't make sense. Like they left some items.
Yeah.
That,
the weirdly specific losses like that.
Yeah. So I was like, and then I report it. I go back to the car. I think I went back and forth a couple times. And then I was like, I need to like check around the car. I don't know why. The fucking keys were on the ground next to the car on the road. For sure, 100% they were not. I didn't drop them there as I got out of the car.
Guess stealing it?
And I was like, okay.
Or they couldn't drive manual. They're like,
That's
out.
a big possibility.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Another
once.
big thing is like people don't steal cars that are a little bit more high value here.
Yeah, definitely.
Same thing with breaking in. Like people don't break into Mercedes. They break into older shitty cars.
Hondas.
But they had the keys and the ability to unlock it. I didn't think about that at the time. I grabbed the keys. I made sure it was locked again. I went back inside. I think I called the cops at that point to file a police report. And I was like, wait, I should probably check that my wallet's still in the car. So I go, I do that. The wallet was in the car. Still at that point, I was still like just
was everything in the
pissed
wallet?
off. So yeah, see, that's where I was still pissed off and kind of rushing. And I was like, the wallet's there, good. I go back inside and then I go back. I'm explaining this because it was so weird. Then I checked the wallet. I finally go back and I was like, okay, wait, everything's here except for 2 credit cards and my work ID and my driver's license and 2 credit cards out of the 4 credit cards I had in there. And I was like, why would you not take all the credit cards? Whatever, cool. I'm lucky.
Don't criticize.
Fortunately, one of the credit cards they took was like my main checking account card, which is funny because it was the first one. There's like, layered slots.
Yeah.
They should have probably taken that one because that has most of my money. But they took a credit card and a different check card that has like $50 on it. And then, so I had to like hurry up, call that major credit card company because that was the one I was most worried about. It has a pretty high limit. Cancel that. They had already charged like 5 things. This happened like 30 minutes ago.
Holy shit.
At most.
They're quick, yeah.
It might have been faster.
It had to be fast.
They were small charges, like $10 or something.
Yeah. That they do small charges to test if it works.
I really want these gummy worms.
So you have to, then I like started going back like, wait,
You do a
this
small charge
person
test it.
took my bag, used the keys to unlock the car, grabbed a few things out of the wallet. Nothing else from the car was stolen. I had a nice pair of like Oakley sunglasses in there, weren't touched. They didn't take the car, great.
A crackhead
threw the
broke into your car.
keys. Well, so this person
Went to your gym, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
which you have to fingerprint.
Are there cameras?
There are. So, I canceled the credit cards. My wife finally got a hold of me, and I told her to cancel the other one because it was a different company. And then the police finally arrived. And then I think around that time is when I realized, holy shit, my wedding band was also in the bag. Which we decided to get a more. Most guys get like simple cheap ones. She got a more expensive white gold one for me. That's around like $500. Nothing compared to hers, but
yeah,
it's also like engraved and everything, so super special to
And it's
her
wedding
and
band.
me.
It's got
Yeah, exactly.
sentimental value.
The thing is, like, he would have had to really be paying attention to actually find it. So this person could still have that bag out there and not know that the wedding bag's in there. But anyways, police get there. He was a cool dude, white cop, which is fortunate for me. This is where maybe a little bit of my racism comes out, but a lot of cops here are super biased against Howley or whatever you want.
Okay.
to call
yeah,
it.
yeah. No. I think
Yeah.
that's less racism, just like the fact of what we deal with.
Yeah,
daily.
especially with what's going on in the Hawaii Honolulu Police Department right now.
Yeah, all that nonsense where it's just like, if you're Howley, we want you off the island.
Yeah.
And then that's so much accentuated. So today, President Trump is visiting.
Yesterday. Well,
I
he's
thought-
still here
he's
today.
still here
Yeah.
today. Yeah. So I feel like that's only got them heightened to a certain
Oh, yeah.
point.
Especially in the state.
Did you hear about, I read this on the news, that there was, so it was a news article on their website that popped up in my, like, MSN feed. There was a Marine who was stabbed downtown Honolulu, and he
What was
was,
this?
2 weeks ago.
Huh.
He was stabbed downtown Honolulu, and it was like 3 teenage kids stabbed him, and it was only on the premise of just like, we don't want Hollies here.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
they were like looking for some white person to stab.
Most
Yeah.
likely, the kids who stabbed him weren't even actual locals.
I don't know.
So 9 times out of 10,
I think they
that's
were
how
still
it
looking
is.
for them. That's the whole thing. Well, they caught like some, but there was like 10 people there, and this like Marine, like in true Marine fashion, fought away. He fought off like a fuck ton of them.
Jeez.
But yeah, he was still ultimately stabbed and died.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
They actually
yeah,
murdered him.
they murdered him.
Holy shit.
So yeah, this is not to steer this to a super dark tone, but it's just like
Well,
an
there's
example of just
That's
there-
pretty
people,
rare for
people
a race,
come
though.
here, yeah, for sure, and I guess you could say that's racism.
Yeah.
But
No, it definitely is.
it was a crime solely based on this person's race.
Hate
It's a hate crime. Yeah, exactly. So I think if you do feel like you're being oppressed by whatever, like just say the presence of white people here on this island, and you're a local,
Yeah.
a hate crime is not the answer for
No.
for how you get these people off your island.
And also people who say like, oh, white people can't experience racism or can't experience
Yeah,
police bias
yeah,
and get pulled over as a white person in Hawaii.
yeah,
You'll
yeah.
experience a little bit of it. Not
Well,
near as bad.
I
as,
think like
in
the
but-
SJW example of what racism is it's like power with opportunity equals racism. So say you get
Yeah.
pulled over today,
Yeah.
and that police is in a position of authority,
Yeah.
and then they get the opportunity to act on that authority, and they somehow discriminate against you. That only then would it be racism.
Yeah. And even then, it's just a sense of discrimination. Like,
Yeah.
the way you're treated by, say, a Hawaiian police officer to a white person pull over.
Yeah.
The way they treat you can feel like racism. But it could be totally different other things, right? It could just
Yeah.
be, something as simple as a difficult to communicate. Like, when I got pulled over, I kept asking questions because I never had a ticket before.
Yeah.
It's like, could you please explain this to me? How do I pay a ticket? How do I know it's paid for? How do I know it's finished? The situation's done. And all he would tell me is, read it back, read it back, read it back, read it back, over and over and over. And I read the back of it. I was like, this isn't nearly detailed enough. It doesn't answer any of my questions. So I'm asking you, the officer, held me out in this situation. How do I take care of this? Read it back. And he just like walked off and left me there. I was like, okay,
I feel like
that feels pretty
my
shitty.
civic duty isn't being fulfilled right now.
Yeah, like, it's weird. Yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't feel like that's how a police officer should act or treat somebody.
Yeah.
Like, if they're asking you a question, especially in regards to law enforcement, they should be somewhat obliged to answer,
Yes.
provide information, or like help you find the information. But
Or that sole idea that you're a servant to the people.
yeah, and it just makes you wonder, like, it kind of feels like racist in a weird way. Like,
Yeah.
Man,
If I was a Hawaiian or a local right now,
wouldn't I be treated differently?
exactly.
Yeah. Or not even get a ticket in the first place.
Maybe this is like a super specific example of like how white people can feel racism.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, it's weird because you're not even certain it is. It could have just been something as simple as like a communication difficulty.
Or maybe he's that way with everyone.
Or maybe he's that with everybody. Yeah, maybe he just does it to everybody. Like, doesn't answer questions, just hands them the ticket and runs off. You know, it's just so weird though. Like that little question in the back of your head, like, is it because I'm white? Or is it? And I'm sure like a lot of people of color get that kind of experience when they get pulled over by, say, a white officer. In the back of the head, they got that question like, is it because I'm black? Is it because I'm Mexican? Is it because I'm this?
Yeah.
But they're specifically.
I've had it
this
before,
way
man.
That I don't think is good enough.
So the only time I've been given a ticket was for tinting, and it's something I was given the car by my folks. That's something they try to do for us, being second generation immigrant in this country. They were just like, hey, we don't want you to worry about something about how am I going to get to work.
Yeah.
Transportation's huge. Not that I was given like a super nice car at the beginning. It was a Ford Taurus, like from 2004, and it was 2011.
Best car.
The best car. So, I changed my speakers in that car, sir. I made it nice. That's kind of what sparked my...
Love the cars.
Yeah, my interest in cars. But,
Too bad.
so he was...
You're begging so hard.
I'm
Please,
begging
sir.
hard. Please, would you get me a beer, sir?
He's tapping your glass as he's walking around. Please.
I don't think it'd be hurt.
He's not looking at all.
No, he's just like, fuck your beer.
At any point, you could have just stopped and said, "Hey, man, can you have me a beer?"
Yeah.
But you didn't
That would be the
want
more human approach.
Yes.
How dare I be
Trying
clandestine?
Try to distractedly continue your story while tapping your beer and hoping he notices. Please.
Anyways, back to my story, you bitch.
You're just trying so hard.
I was pulled over for tinting
Right.
in the literal middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
There wasn't anyone for miles. I hadn't seen a gas station for miles. I was going the appropriate speed limit when no one was fucking around, and I got pulled over. And he's just like, "Your tinting's too dark for the state."
Did you test it?
Yeah, he had like a whole reader, and he pressed it on the window, and it read my tint. And he's like, "In this state, this is the exact amount of tinting you need to have."
That's super rare.
It is. It is. So textbook. I think that was the first time, but I don't even know if that's racist. Maybe he pulled over everyone who went by with tinting. I don't
Maybe
fucking
tinting
know.
is just his thing.
Yeah, maybe he's just like, I gotta dick hard for tinting.
So
You will follow the law.
When I was a kid, my parents are divorced, so I'd have to go back and forth between the states where they live to visit for visitation stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a long drive. It's like 6-hour drive or a 2-hour flight. And of course they drive us halfway, me halfway through the whole thing. But as the years went on, we got older and older. It started becoming like, okay, what's the most convenient way to do this? And one year, when I was in, I think, junior high or early high school, we had a local cop in the small town in Kansas where my mom lives. He just happened to be heading down to Texas at the same time. So my mom had me ride with him.
What the fuck?
Like, he's a cop, it'll be fine. He's a
Yeah,
trustworthy guy.
if you're gonna be safe with anyone,
we
you
actually
should be
know
the
the guy,
cops.
and he's actually a really nice person, so it's totally fine. But
Better not be
the
a
whole
story
way,
about
I
how
was
you
just
got
asking
molested.
him- No, I was just asking questions about what it's like being a cop and stuff. And he'd actually just been fired from being a cop. He just got fired like a couple days before, and that's why
Holy
he's going
shit.
to Texas. And he's talking about how he couldn't deal with the quota because it's such a small town that when you have a quota to fill for the amount of tickets you have to write, so he's saying they had that there, that he ends up having to pull over the same people all the time. It's like, yeah, I would give this person a warning.
Seems like harassment.
And I know this guy hasn't had a time to get this fixed because I know the guy.
Yeah.
But I see him again and I have his quota to I have to get it to him. Or I know this person's in a hurry because she usually picks up her kids at this time because I see her drive down this road every day at this time. And she's clearly late. Something's happened, she's having a bad day or something. But the quota system, he has to give a ticket or else he gets in trouble. And he couldn't deal with getting either pulled two directions by trying to be a good public servant or trying to fulfill his duties to his, I don't know, leadership or whatever in the police force. He eventually just couldn't do anymore and he got fired.
Mm.
So I don't know if every place has a quota like that, but that would explain a lot of behavior by police officers, I think.
So for our guest today, you have some former experience with police work. Would you like to talk about that at all?
Yeah, So I used to do security forces in the military, which some people call military cops, but I would never call it that. It's more security forces. We get the same training though, so I've had a lot of training with actual police forces in certain states, and it's all the same. And at the end of the day, like, we still have to follow the same rules they do, traffic stops, everything like that. And the biggest
Same
thing,
procedure.
yeah, it's actually even more enforced. More, we're held to a higher standard, obviously, and we also work with DoD guys who handle like the civilian counterpart, Augment, and they're like a union throughout all United States. All the DoD cops that you would ever see at a military base are a part of a union. They can call in sick all the time and all this bullshit, but they actually have like authority. So that's why we have them. They can actually do real arrests.
Can they get you like a warrant or whatever?
I don't know how warrants would work because there are no warrants in the military.
Whereas you guys are more like security focused, they're more like actual police.
Yeah,
focused.
especially after like 9/11, it was more anti-terrorism. But we still did, depending on the base you went to. I still know guys that are still in that, you know, do either heavy anti-terrorism, like all they focus on is force protection, like making sure the base is safe against
white vans.
threats. Any kind of threats outside of the base, not military members following regulations. And then some bases are the opposite, where it's more like police, like making sure, you know, drunk driving isn't happening on base, people are following regulations. I've had some pretty good experience with, especially with drugs. Like, I've seen 10 guys kicked out at once for doing cocaine.
Jeez.
And
All 10 of them?
yeah, half of them actually went to like Leavenworth and
That's a lot
served
of cocaine.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because you know, whenever it's always just one person, you catch one person and then it spirals out of control. They give up all kinds of names.
Oh yeah.
And then, but to kind of bring it back to the conversation, it sucks. The job sucks because you're always constantly looked at. Everybody hates you, and you're just trying to do the job, which is what I think you were trying to point out. But some of them suck at it, and that's at the end of the day. Like, every cop is different because they have a lot of leniency with officer discretion, so they can pull you over, give you a warning. I don't know how quotas work though. So, like, for us, we could just keep giving warnings all day until, like, someone higher up above was like, you have to give a ticket today. Like, find something. And those were the worst days, because I gave one ticket my whole time in 6 years doing that job. I did one ticket, and it was because a guy on base ran a stop sign, and he was going 20 over in a school zone, like an elementary school on base,
So that
while it was in school zone hours.
I would say,
yeah,
that's
that's
actually likely he's going to hit someone.
Yeah, you are a danger to society at this point.
Yeah, and he, like,
That's
still, the biggest thing in the military is, like, they always like to say, like, you're not real cops, blah, blah, blah. And I think...
And you were like, yeah, here's a real ticket.
it's always the higher ranking people, because, like, lower ranking will be like, okay, yes, sir, so, okay,
They don't want
sorry.
more trouble.
Yeah, the higher ranking will try to, like, I don't know, shove it back in your face, whatever, tell you you're nothing. And that's exactly what's happening with every single person in civilian side, especially nowadays. Like,
Fuck the police kind of attitude.
yeah. I'm
Because I'm brown.
usually more on the side of the cop in most circumstances, just because I know what exactly goes behind their training. And the shitty thing is that they don't put out to the public, like, how they actually operate, how they do their job.
That would make it
So-
easier to evade them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be said, like, all my experience with cops,
As a cop.
my experience with cops.
I heard this story and now I'm a cop.
Hello. No. I, like, at no point in my stories do I ever, like, throw in the caveat, and I have no idea what their day had been like up to that point,
Yeah.
or the career has been like up to that point. Like, you know what, like, the amount of pressure and stuff that goes into that.
That's
those experiences
true, but I feel like that's being too
Lenient?
passive.
Yeah.
On the cop side, like, for you, because on his
regardless of what day you've had, you shouldn't take it out on someone.
Exactly.
Right.
And that has always been when I did that job. I was always super nice to everybody. Even if someone was being a dick to me, I would still be nice. But that's kind of just how I am.
That's kind of human interaction is.
Yeah.
Well, that's I think what we're building towards right now is just you could say that of any occupation. Say you were that person in the Subway story earlier, where you're just like, hey, I've had a really rough day, so I'm gonna fucking blow up at you. Like, how dare you film me right now, sir? But instead, it sounds like that person. Sandwich artist is that the term they go by these days?
She's just, this is weird, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess anyone being pulled over could have the idea of like, hey, this person's trying to do their job right now. Just like, say you're running late for work and you're just trying to get to your job, and you want that same level of leniency whenever it's just like, hey, please, I'm trying to get to work on time. I've been late twice this week. I don't want to get fucking fired. At the same time, this cop's probably thinking like, hey, I have to write one fucking ticket today, and you're the only person I've had legal justification to write one to.
Yeah, or the situation like the cop could be just like, yeah, whose fault has you been late twice this week? It's your job. Like, it's not my fault you've been late twice.
Exactly.
And it's your fault you were doing something to get yourself pulled over again.
Yeah. But they could be like a new parent. They're just like, oh, God, my fucking kid. But you don't know that. So I guess the best answer is to be as nice as possible and lenient as possible. There's this weird level of cops, though. We don't want them to be as lenient as possible. They're like, if someone's breaking the law, I want you to bust them the first time.
As long as it's not me, though.
As long as it's not me, exactly. If it's your first time, like, oh God, please, I've never broken the law till today.
I definitely don't demand leniency. Like, at the time I told you where I got 4 tickets, and then I had to go to court and I got busted down to 2 tickets because the actual police work was very faulty and very obviously bad. Like, that time, my expectation going to court wasn't, I don't deserve any of this. I don't want any tickets. My whole argument with the judge was, yes, I absolutely deserve these tickets for having like a safety expired and my registration expired. Totally accept those as my responsibility. I'll take repercussions for that. But these extra things that were the police officers' input to this is not okay. It shouldn't be that way. And they agreed with me. Yeah, you're right. It isn't that way. It shouldn't be that way. And yeah, we're getting rid of those, and you're only getting those 2 tickets. It's like, okay, great, I'll take that. Like, it's just, I believe there's just be a certain standard of police work and a certain standard of public service that, like, if I ask you a question about how to, the legal, like, process of something, and it's their job to do the law enforcement, I feel it's within that standard to provide the answers, to provide the information, or like not do what the other cops did and give me extra tickets on shit.
Yeah.
For their process, right? So I don't know. It's that's what I kind of mean by that.
Hearing his story now, do you kind of wonder if 4 tickets was him trying to run up his numbers?
Maybe, yeah. It's like,
I'm gonna have the best stats.
Like, man, I've been good for months.
Yes. Yeah, I don't. It makes me want to look up information on that because it should be public.
Public information.
Yeah, for what they have to do. But I've never gotten any kind of training on quotas and shit. So.
Well, it's weird if you think about it too. If there's a quota for the amount of like tickets someone has to write, that means no matter how good or bad like a certain place in society is, it's always going to be that same amount. If every cop meets their quota as expected,
exactly.
Like a place can never get better.
Yeah. In
a weird way. It kind of makes me think of Hot Fuzz, you know.
How so? Explain this.
Well, in Hot Fuzz, like everything's fine. It's the safest, best, like what's it called, village in all of the country. And then Nicholas Angel gets sent there as the best cop from London.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden the crime rates shoot up because he's the only one actually booking the crimes. So
previously before where they understood there was no problem at all of a sudden you're like, oh,
there's actually a huge problem.
This place is crime ridden. If you hadn't
actually do the police work
looked at it through the lens of someone who catches someone constantly.
Right.
Well, so there's like, so you, before I go on, you were like the perfect model. You were the perfect model of someone to pull over, right? You acted professionally and perfect. He probably, most likely, was just having a bad day, or he just didn't want to deal with you. He may or may not have been trying to fill a quota. He was just trying to give you a ticket because you did something wrong and fucking get out of there and keep going. But quotas are retarded to begin with because, like you said, like the crime rate wouldn't go.
It predicates
down.
A crime rather than punishing someone who did something wrong. It's saying, hey, there's at least one person who's going to do something wrong this month. Find that one person. And if you don't, make up that one person.
But if you take away that system, like most people would want, like that doesn't show like real crime. Like if you're just forcing people to do that because there's officer discretion.
Yeah.
Like they have the right and the authority to let you go with a warning. Unless, and I know this is in writing, like unless like, you know, you were going over like 30 over the speed.
There's circumstances that should
yeah,
never
they
be.
have to write a ticket.
Yeah.
But
That makes sense too, if we're talking for the sake of law, where it's
Yeah.
just like, hey, this should, for all of us looking at this case right now, if we were to sit down in a jury and be like, do you think something went wrong if someone's driving 30 miles over the speed limit? That's the point where we all agree, like, yeah,
Something
obviously
could have very
something's
much gone wrong.
Yeah.
but
That becomes
should
a
be
common
stopped.
sense thing.
Yeah.
if I totally lost my train of thought there.
Choo-choo, motherfucker. No, no, it happens.
Roll the tape.
With traffic enforcement in like a cop's world is probably the least desired,
Yeah, I can imagine.
worst field you want to be in as a cop.
'Cause no one's happy to see you
Yeah.
ever in that situation.
Well, also,
Never
they
wanted to.
all have something else in mind. They have a destination in mind. They have why they're going to that place in mind. And then all of a sudden, you've interrupted their train of thought.
Yep.
And thinking, hey, I have to get here at this certain time.
Every situation involving a traffic cop is a bad situation. You've got an accident, someone's stolen something from you, or you fucked up and have to be stopped by the police. There can't be. I can't think of any situation where you're like, oh, thank God, the traffic cop's here.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe if you're like the person at the stoplight and it's just like, fuck, I would really like someone to show up right now. Because imagine power outages where the stoplight is out entirely
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
yeah.
stuck on people trying to conduct themselves,
Yeah.
like, I guess with tact and with a little bit of consideration for your fellow fucking
They're not
man.
gonna.
No, they're not going to. Like, I need to get to this place right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often here, but I saw it the other day, or kind of around where we work. There was, you know what happens when, I'm actually not sure if it's when the light goes out and it's trying to conserve battery until the lights are fixed, or if it's just a different power outage or something. But, you know when you come across this blinking orange, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What is the other light doing? It's blinking what color?
Yellow.
No.
Red.
Mm.
Red. That other light should always be blinking red for the intersecting
opposite
crossing,
direction.
right?
Okay.
So what's the blinking orange lane? Lane supposed to do?
Pay
And
attention-
this
like-
goes into rules of the road.
I guess it's
Something
like
that every
stop,
driver should know.
Stop, yield, pay attention to both of the other
Stop
sides.
or yield.
I thought red.
I would
be-
say yield.
red would be you have to stop no matter what.
Yeah.
And then proceed.
Yeah.
And then the orange or yellow would be
Caution, slow down,
caution,
yield.
slow
Yeah.
down, yield,
Not stop.
but not
Oh,
stop.
okay.
You don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of okay.
You had the
but-
right
It's
way to proceed
dictating a
first.
right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I came across this on a lane where they did it right. The blinking right one like was not traveled very often, so not many cars, and everybody kept stopping at the blinking orange, and there was like 10 cars, and I was like, go, just go. There was no one in the other
You just
blinking
get in your
red
car
one.
and run past. I was a cop. You can go.
But that's the thing, like it's so hard to earn your driver's license, like to go over every single rule
Yeah.
and
And not even that, but,
possibility.
like every situation that you might encounter once or twice in specific areas that do it weird.
Yeah.
This is
Probably
probably
just knowing the local rules, basically.
the worst place.
So I'm sure the viewers already know because they heard my clicky he's as prescribed by the box. Typing. I was looking up the driver statistics, and it says the majority of drivers, 58%, feel that someone driving at least 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit would be dangerous, basically.
Yeah.
Or more likely to have a crash. And you just described a scenario in which someone's driving 30 over as like natural trip alarm. So yeah, it seems that this isn't just within this room, that it's something predicated that everyone feels, hey, if you're driving over this amount from what we've already allotted as the speed. And I also watched like an Adam Ruins Everything kind of like how we set up modern roads and to have speed limits that originally roads were something for people to walk across, and then as cities popped up and we got urbanized and modern civilization developed, we thought, hey, cars have the right of way and not pedestrians. But we still kind of
That's a
have...
very American thing.
It is.
And even now, we try to say that the pedestrian always has the right of way. But if you're in the car, you're like, no, fuck that guy. That's always the thought that goes behind your head.
It'll take forever to get where it's going anyways, so
Yeah.
I should go first because I can get.
It's going to take me 2 seconds to get over versus this
I
person
can get
takes
across
long.
way faster than this person can walk across.
Yeah. But I've also seen videos on like YouTube where it's just, and if we have like ridiculous Internet of Things environment where people have like Fitbits and their phones all send out signals, and you're gonna have like an environment in which the cars account for people walking across the road and just drive around. There's a video out there. I think it was like a town in Sweden where they're just all these cars are going at like maximum speed and barely going around pedestrians.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that for that one day? But then you like forget to charge your Fitbit or whatever it is.
You don't
so it's a
exist
little
anymore.
slow and you just totally get slaughtered and it's all on camera.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I mean, that is the thing though. Like for self-driving cars, everyone's like, "Oh, you can't do self-driving cars because the whole conundrum. Like, do you kill one person or do you drive like 1,000 or whatever?" Like, all the situations.
There's a name for this conundrum. I totally don't remember.
It's like, I know the common one is the 2-path scenario where it's like,
Yeah, where you can push a fat man onto the tracks and stop.
fat man every time.
Why is it the fat man as the example? Or it could be like, you can push one person and stop this train.
If you want to
like,
be positive about it, they've enjoyed life enough. If you want to be negative about it, they've ruined their life enough.
They've done more growing than the rest of us.
I trust people that drive a little bit faster than the speed limit than those that drive at or slower.
Why is that?
Especially in this state.
I think that's true.
They have a purpose.
Well, you kind of do that too.
Slow driving is dangerous.
Yeah, it can be definitely.
On highways, especially. Like, well, exclusively to highways. Like, and it's prevalent here. Like, it's just... That's why I think fast cars are safer than slower cars.
I would go away from fast cars and more around maneuverable cars.
Yeah.
Drivers who
With a
know
skilled
the
driver.
vehicle. Yeah, exactly.
Skilled
Skills on
driver.
the driver is such a huge factor now. And that we have, say, some 17, 18-year-old kid. Not saying that we shouldn't give out like driver's permits because you have to learn at some point in time. And I think the younger the better. But if you don't know this 4,000-pound vehicle, up to 4,000 usually, that you're commanding, at any second you can slightly turn the wheel, and that's the difference between staying on course in your current destination and death. We should definitely emphasize mastery over these things, over these large mechanicals. I mean, we talked about mechanized robots earlier, but it's like you can't get closer than a modern combustion engine in the front of this giant 3,000-pound machine you're driving and you have full control over. So it's like, yeah, we should totally emphasize mastery
I was
over
allowed
that.
to drive at 14. And
Yeah,
I
14.
definitely remember at that time that I
Holy
was
shit.
not comprehending how dangerous that shit actually is.
Yeah.
Like going to a friend's house in high school and leaving at like 4 a.m. after being awake all day at school and then hanging out.
Ugh.
Like, oh, that's fine. I'm very tired. I'm falling asleep. But it's fine. The road's empty. It's a 6-lane road, so I've got loads of room here. It's fine. But then, like, you grow up and you're just like, holy shit, that's dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
That speed limit of that road's 55 at 6 lanes, but you're tired as shit and you're a young, dumb kid. And you don't think, like you said, like a slight turn of the wheel is the difference between getting where you're going and dying.
Yeah.
It's like,
Or killing someone
what
else.
other situation are you in at that age where, like, 6 degrees is the difference between you dying and living? And you're entirely in control of that. It's crazy.
None. For most people.
For most people, yeah, for most people. Like, we don't, I mean, Texas we do, but, like, no one just gives, like, hey, you're 13 now, here's a gun. With ammo.
Yeah.
Here you go. Like, this is the difference.
Try not to fuck it up, kid.
Yeah, this life and death in your hands here. Here you go.
Well, that's a unique
that was my
situation
14th
in that
birthday.
the person firing the gun is rarely in any danger at all. But versus in a car, if you say you turn that wheel and you have
That's true,
passengers,
yeah,
they're
you're-
fucked too.
Yeah. The gun doesn't shoot backwards as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say, like, that's very true, but you can relate that to anything in life, almost.
Yeah.
When I cut vegetables at home.
You can cut it. Yeah,
I want to
you're-
bring it down that dumb to a level because,
That's a good point, though.
I can
You're
cut
like
my
2 inches
finger
off.
off if I am not paying attention and, I just go really fast and don't care. I'll cut my finger off. It's the same thing with driving. Same thing with a lot of other things. I don't know.
I mean, that's a good
What
point.
else?
Yeah, that's a good point. You're 6 degrees off of diving to a wall. You're also 6 inches off of slitting on wrists. You're cutting
Yeah.
a vegetable. Like, yes, it's a crazy scenario when that happens. But,
Oh God!
yeah. Oh, it's so slippery! Ah! I'm so bad at this! But that's a good point, though. Like, everything kind of has an innate danger to it. Being alive carries the risk of dying, so
Yeah.
everything involved with it is going to be dangerous at some level. And protecting yourself from all the danger doesn't necessarily mean...
Dude, that's part of the human experience, just being that vulnerable at all times.
Well, it's like looking back...
That's what makes it worth it, though.
The Wild West where everyone's carrying guns, and at any point some bandito can come and try to kill you.
Yeah, or you can have what seems like a meaningless argument at a bar, and you're just like...
I could be stabbed.
Yeah.
I can get glassed at any moment.
Or he'd be like, hey, how about we step outside and have a duel to
Right,
just figure this out.
Yeah, like, it's just a plain argument. You can get slapped in the face by a glove, like, oh, fuck, now I gotta shoot this guy.
Need you to a duel.
Oh, no! Right, and that doesn't happen nowadays. And looking back, it's fucking crazy.
Sir, in the state of Washington it happens.
Yeah,
Have you heard about this?
It's still legal there?
So you have, I think it's something called like the right to duel, or
Yeah.
it's like so you can have a police officer pretty much sanction or supervise your fight to make sure it doesn't get to the point where someone dies.
Does this actually happen, though?
Yes. There was a UFC fighter, I don't remember if he's UFC or if he was on a smaller level, that he dressed up as a superhero. Yeah, he, like, no joke, dressed up as a superhero, and he was like, he tried to find, if someone was assaulting a woman, he would challenge them to a duel, which sounds very Yu-Gi-Oh! In nature, but at the same time. So outside of that, though, I think it's something called, like, the right to duel or something state. There's multiple states that do this, and that if you and I feel like we have something we can't overcome over natural fucking diction and having a conversation as adults, it's like, catch me outside, bitch. And we actually could fight to the knockout, not to the death.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know at what point the cop steps in.
The
It's
cop
like,
could have
that's
the right
enough.
to call it, like, winner!
But it's an interesting notion, and it's
That's
something
that
I've
cool,
said
though.
multiple times. It's like, do you think we would get the same people in Congress if they had to actually duel for what they thought was the correct bill?
Yeah.
Or would it just be like some warrior race Arnold Schwarzenegger motherfucker? Like,
I didn't know.
yeah.
What?
Could he fight his way, like Kumite his way to the top?
Yeah. What was his platform? Just a good tiger knee. Just a sick right hook and a tiger knee.
Exactly.
That's how I won. That's a good point.
It would totally change the face of where we're at now, but certain people feel like we're at a ridiculous level of bureaucracy where you could just be the right person, be a career politician, and then your motive gets in until you get a gold parachute.
What?
Gold parachute is the term they use for like working in a Fortune 500 company. They have like a retirement program. It doesn't have to be some strict amount of years or whatever. You hit this certain milestone, and then from there you can retire, and then you get like say $20,000 every month for the rest of your life.
Shit.
That's referred to as the golden parachute, in that you essentially don't have to work. That you make enough off your pension to do whatever you want at that point. And some Fortune 500 companies, like the CEO or whatever other positions high enough to warrant that, will try to achieve that milestone so they can essentially do whatever they want after that point. Everything else becomes extra credit because they know they're already set. And say even if they were to get fired, they would still have their quote-unquote golden parachute.
Yeah, they're good to go. They're set.
Yeah. So at that point, they just kind of go to this state where they can do whatever they want and nothing can really touch them. It was to the point where I think in recent years, someone claimed the IRS had, like, that entire organization that's in charge of auditing all of our income had golden parachutes, and that the CEO was like he's like, everyone who's an office worker now gets a fucking stuffed teddy bear at their desk.
I heard about that.
Yeah, or like a
IRS
golden
would have
paper
it.
shredder at my desk or something.
Isn't the IRS a government organization?
Yeah, it is.
So
It
they wouldn't have
is.
a CEO, would it?
No, I think it still has
Like
like
a
someone
director?
in charge, like a director level or whatever it is. So there always has to be someone on top of the pyramid. Ideally, you can't just have no power in charge. So these like top level people were at the point, and someone's made the argument before that even presidents have a golden parachute. That like after you retire being president, have you ever heard of them? One of them being a wash up? No, they all seem fine. And I think presidents do warrant like a certain level of income for the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know how true that is.
No, yeah. Look it up. It's super easy.
I
It's,
I think they don't make that much money during it, but afterwards they get so much. Like,
no,
they
they
Yeah, they
they
get
make a
permanent
considerable amount of
Yeah.
money during it. I think it's like $250,000 a year. Which, granted, compared to other congressmen and other people who are in
Right.
Fortune 500s, you're like, oh, that's not that much.
And just
But-
politicians nowadays in general. Probably make more
Exactly.
than that.
And they still get Secret Service.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit less amount of men, but
Man, being a gay president would be the fucking best, wouldn't it?
Gay president? How so?
He's got the bullies with you forever then on.
Dude, it took... I got to... How do... Oh, $400,000 apparently is what a president makes a year since 2001.
So
That's
people
more
think
than
that's a lot
$4
more.
million.
People assume it's a lot more than that. But I'm sure, like,
I wonder how much the president gets taxed.
they can't. So I don't think they can get. That's a good question. I
Yeah.
don't think they're allowed to get like any kind of gifts or other external payments of any form.
No, I think they can. From lobbyists, at least.
That's the thing. Yeah.
That's
From
under the
lobbyists
table
and-
money. So we wouldn't have any way of tracking it or
I mean,
knowing
I know
how much.
politicians themselves totally
This
get
is-
tons of money.
that's the salary of when they're active. That's
Okay.
The retirement pay.
Yeah. 400,000.
That's not that much for the highest position in government.
I mean, do they need that much though? They're so busy.
No, God, no.
Like they don't have time to spend that. Just save it all.
Almost $200,000 a year it seems they get after retirement.
Yeah, I bet that's just a drop in the bucket though for their total.
Probably.
Sources of
It's
income.
not only that, it's like how much have you amassed over the years, and I guess
Yeah.
it depends on the spending habits. And if anyone wants to look this up, it's workcron.com. We just typed into Google how
Yeah.
much the president's
Well,
making.
I think I
for
just
retirement.
read something about like Paul Manafort or somebody, some other politician that's really coming into question right now, was making like $40,000 a month from lobbyists or like from one specific lobby group.
So even Obama has come under scrutiny recently in that, and this is something I know that the Clintons, definitely both of them, have made money on.
Yeah.
Making these public appearances, either at Fortune 500 companies or to any company really, or colleges saying, hey, we'll come talk to your college for this amount of money. And then they make some bullshit fucking speech that either someone else writes or
Yeah.
is half-assed
That's what
off
some
of
of
their
the
other speeches. Yeah.
Speaking engagements.
Or to lobbyists, and they're able to say, hey, I'm just going to motivate your people for this amount of money.
Yes.
And then they get paid that before they even showed up. So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, in an open economy, it's really weird to say that it's just like, hey, if someone's willing to pay you that much to do that thing, like right now, say the three of us in this room, some local college in
Do a live
Hawaii
podcast.
was like, hey, do one of our podcasts is live, and we'll pay you $20,000. We'd be like, done.
I like each or split.
That's
Well,
how money hungry I am. It'd
Yeah.
be like, done. I didn't even question that.
That's the thing too, though. It's like there's nothing there's nothing blatantly wrong about it, but I think it feels wrong to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, that just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Because it's technically legal, but what's to stop someone from using that as the cover for, like, you know, paying someone off for decisions or to sway someone in one direction?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're gonna pay you $100,000 to go do a 5-minute speaking engagement at our like office party. But really, in reality, the $100,000 isn't for speech; it's for swaying them,
Influence.
getting the face time
Yeah.
and influence, right? So it's like, do you want people with money to have that much power and influence over politicians? With just such a simple loophole existing?
Yeah.
Especially $4,000 is not that much for a president.
No.
Where, like, a company could easily pay them more than a year's salary for a speaking engagement if they really, really needed sway in something.
Yeah.
That would not be hard to pull off, and there's legal...
If you're like a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah, there's existing legal precedent for them to do something like that. That's what's fucking weird about it.
If you have a big enough company, say even just 10% of your workers working like motivated at a higher level, could totally be worth it if you just pay out what seems to be a small amount to this one person.
Yeah. And
Money under the table, non-taxable
I
at
even
that.
considered what they could make back off of that, off of non-taxable, if there were refunds about it, because it's kind of like back to the workforce, so I don't know if there's refunds for that.
I don't know.
And then the possible increase in revenue from the workforce. I didn't even consider that. I was only thinking from influence on the politicians themselves.
It's just like a buff in an RPG plus 10 to income.
Yeah, potentially. Depends on what politician you get
Yeah.
and your workforce.
Bill Clinton plus 20 to sexual harassment.
Yeah. I personally don't like it whenever there's like stuff like that.
Yeah?
Like when a company has a morale event or like some speaker comes in to motivate people, like, just don't be a shit company.
You
That's your
should have
best
done
bet, just
everything
don't be
else
shit.
right.
don't make people.
But hey, that whole like what you conceive as not being shit could cost more than that speaker. So
Probably,
at that point,
probably.
like imagine you were playing a top-down. I don't want to say RPG. What's like
RTS.
strategy based?
RTS.
Yeah, RKS, and you're just like
RTS.
RTS,
Real-time
real-time
strategy.
strategy. Yeah,
There you go.
and you're just like it just takes less to get the same effect
Yeah.
with this speaker
Yeah.
than it would, as opposed to just having higher.
Standards and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. But just that continual amount of money draining you, as
Right.
opposed to just like, hey, at the end of this, I could just get one speaker to come in, and then everything's
I
cool.
mean, probably throw in rants about like microtransactions and products and everything. It's probably become very clear that I hate the idea of like money hungry
Yeah.
or like business for business, and then more into like business for product or like love of product or love of what they're making.
Yeah.
Like how I rant about video game companies with microtransactions and stuff. The whole thing is designed to make more money instead of them just being passionate about what they're making or loving the product they're making. Whereas,
Yeah,
like, there's
but
a bit of
I think that turns into like, what are you passionate about? Like maybe they're passionate about their free time, and they realize the more that my product is popular and the more money that I make, I have more money for my family or my free
Right.
time or whatever else.
Yeah.
But you don't get someone else's motive in the product that they make. Like just right now, someone could be like, oh, these guys are just fishing for sponsors, as opposed to just like, hey, these guys just like hanging out and it being recorded, I guess.
Yeah. Well, there's a middle ground in there where I think everyone could be happy, where it's, yes, admittedly, this is very obviously and designed as a money-making scheme.
Yeah.
Like, say, a free-to-play game with a bunch of microtransactions that it's all designed to make you want to buy the microtransaction. But if that's honestly and openly couched in, we have to do this in order for us to make this the best we can make it, or to be able to continue putting our love and passion into this product, like, I can take that hit a lot better than I can take a huge company that clearly doesn't need the extra income, but they're straining every little element of something, whatever the product is, not for the love of it, not for the creativity of it, but for the money-making maximization of it. Like the profit engineering, more than the love of the actual purpose or creation. It's like an artist,
Like if Michelangelo half-assed the Sistine Chapel, he's just
Yeah.
like, nah.
or like he did like 3/4 of it, but left one part uncolored. It's like $2,000 extra bucks, I'll finish it.
That's what
Some shit like
microtransactions
that,
feel
or
like.
Or like he
Day
starts
one
it-
DLCs. That's what really gets me. It's like, it tells me you had this done when you handed
Yeah.
it to me.
No, that's season passes.
Oh yeah, that'll do
Season
it too.
passes.
There's so
And
much that's
only the
happening now.
biggest games have those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Things that
the
sell the
games
best
that they
already.
You
They
know you're
know.
already gonna make money from.
yeah. Oh, it's just 40 extra bucks,
And,
and
like,
then you get
Just 40.
free content for a year maybe.
it's not free though because you already paid for it.
Well, yeah.
Exactly.
And
You
probably
pay
a
for it
lot
up front.
a lot more than it was worth. Really, a lot of times.
Because if they have that guaranteed buy at that point, they're just like, okay, now we can half-ass the content.
I got a friend that we give him shit all the time because he buys loot boxes constantly, and he talks about it all the time. He's like, "Yeah, I opened like 20 loot boxes last night. It was a great time."
How much
We
are
sh-
they?
We shit on him for it so much. It's like $2, I think. The ones he buys, like $2.
Okay.
So we spent $40 a night basically on this thing, and we give him shit all the time. But like, well, in one hand, I get it. If that's what you enjoy doing, like, yeah, do what you enjoy. But on the other hand, it also kind of hurts everyone in a weird way because people
Yeah.
vote with their wallets. That's what matters, especially in a capitalist society. What you use your money for is what matters most. So no matter how much I shout and yell and get mad about microtransactions, as long as there's people like him paying for it, throwing money out there over and over and over about it, it'll keep happening. It'll be bigger, bigger, bigger. And you'll see it, it's seeing it more and more nowadays where okay, people are voting for the wallets, and in a weird way, all the products are now being tailored towards those people. And not towards the people who kind of appreciate the product itself or care about the thing. It's kind of more and more towards that. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
But the guy's having a great time, so it's kind of hard to say, you can't have that because you're taking away what I want. I think there should be both. But the way the market is, it seems like the smaller developers that really make things that they love and want to create are having harder and harder time succeeding.
Yeah.
Whereas these bigger companies are just getting more and more successful, making more and more money.
I think people like to just receive those little like mailed to the house, like, oh my god, this is mine, this is for me.
Yeah.
This is my box, I get to open it.
It's a simple satisfaction, the immediate response.
Yeah.
And this stuff's designed for that. Like, in the same way gambling is designed to keep people gambling. Like, especially, like, all the little details that exist within a casino. Like the fact that there's no windows and stuff, so you can't tell what time it is, or you can't tell how much time has passed. And the way that you get chips instead of using real money representations. Like, yes, people know the value of a chip, usually, especially if they're common gamblers. But that one separation, even subconsciously, that you're not using your money, you're using chips, so it's okay. All these little designs and little choices, or like the fact that, you know, you stay in a casino and you get to eat for free the whole time. That's not...
It seems like you're saving money
Yeah,
on some level.
And it's not for the love of the customer. It's not for like, hey, we are so happy you're here. We welcome you so much. Here, have this as well. We happy to have you as a customer. It's to keep you there. It's so, well, you don't have to leave to eat. So you're probably going to stay there and gamble more.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And like the games now are made and designed to keep you playing longer, keep you paying longer. But the design isn't to tell a story, it isn't to share an experience, it isn't to, you know, deliver something a creator wanted to create or a piece of work or anything like that. It's to keep you playing and keep you paying. And I fucking hate that. Every time I get that sensation of something, it's just like, what's the purpose of this anymore? The purpose isn't to have an experience, give an experience, share a story, so, like I'm mentioning here. I just hate that so much, but like we have this one friend that just loves it. He goes for it every time. It's like a fucking whale.
Okay, so let me back this up. As in, you played a trading card game before, right? I think it was Pokemon that you told me you played the online trading card game.
Yeah.
Have you played any trading card games before?
Yeah.
So the idea behind it is, you know that feeling when you open a booster pack,
Yeah.
and you're like, it could literally be anything. It could be the worst thing, it could be the best thing.
It still comes with a sense of satisfaction. Especially
Exactly.
like the better they design that animation and that the sounds they add to it, all that's designed to get that knock chemical release in your brain that
Yeah.
you enjoy. It's all designed for that.
But it's the feeling that you do have a chance for a second, at least. I think that's what it is, especially with people who have gone their entire lives feeling, I wasn't born to a rich family, or I wasn't born to the best area possible. And for a second there, they're like, when I'm pulling the slot machine, it could land on cherries, and I could be the luckiest person in this building, in this room, on Earth,
It could be
whatever.
me.
It could be me. It
Yeah.
gives them a chance, or it makes them feel like they have a chance for once.
I think that's for the creator of whatever it is. I think it's a predatory mindset to kind of like prey upon that desire and that sense that people have. They want to be successful. They want to be rich. They want to have these things. I think it's predatory to design things to take from those people.
I mean, I understand how you feel like it's predatory, but at the same time, there is a chance that they could be the winner.
And one of them might win.
Yeah,
So
I don't know the odds. It depends on each individual machine and
They're
if it
providing
really
a
is
Odds are
or not.
insane.
Yeah,
The odds are insane.
the odds are insane. But for a second, if it makes you feel that authentic chance, like, hey, I could be the one. I could be a
Right.
winner. That's
Yeah.
what this comes down to. I could be the winner. I could never have to work again in my life. And it's not, I don't know if it's so much as they're dangling that in front of your face, because it's whatever preset notions you sit down to that machine with, or that chance with. And I know we're kind of blowing up the conversation about pulling out this card or
getting
not.
on to ethics and stuff now.
Exactly, but it gets to the point where they could feel like, hey, if I get the best card in the game, I could be one of the best players in the game. I could really have a shot at being something special, maybe.
I just hate the idea of someone's sense of success and self-worth and all that. And it's not the creator's fault for them people being this way, but like people not realizing that playing into the system and like letting that sensation desire be preyed upon by somebody for their money or their income or their time even, like it is a situation where someone's dangling in front of them like, oh, you could be successful, come on, keep trying, keep reaching, like keep pushing, keep paying. And they're going, yeah. Even if they get that, they're only as successful as the person is making them or allowing them to be. They're not finding their success for themselves, finding success, a sense of success or self-worth in any actual, tangible, realistic way. It's just paying. So, like, let's say I play Destiny 2, for example. I don't. But if I did, and I could talk to some developer, like, yo, hey, like, boost my damage, give me the best weapons, and here's $100 extra. Like, just pay off the side. They somehow do some shitty accounting thing, like shitty account manipulation. They give me all this stuff in the game. Right. They've made me massively successful, but only in the confines of that game.
Yeah.
So is that actual success in any real way?
It depends how you measure
And
success.
is all of my self-worth based off
If
of
a
that?
bunch of
Then
people
yes.
notice, like, hey, you're a really great Destiny player, like, if that's your measure of success is
Yeah.
peers noticing you, even in the small context, then yes, by all means, that $100 might be worth it.
Yeah.
But it comes to a measure of what are you looking for out of this experience.
So I think the proliferation, I think my whole point, I guess, would be proliferation and success of these quick turnaround, like loot box sensation prioritizations is reflective of like just general society having a disconnect between actual self-worth and values and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because between what I think would be true self-worth, the true success and value. So like imagine a world where like people aren't that way. People can be preyed upon. Like when you say, "Hey, give me $10 and I'll make you feel successful," that's not where success comes from. If that was just common social, awareness and social aspect of, no one thinks that way.
But that's your value.
No company that
success.
tries. I know, yeah, exactly. I'm being
Yeah.
biased here, but if everyone thought the way I did, these attempts at loot boxes would never work because like they can't sell that sense of success. They can't sell that.
Are you gonna Mr.
predatory
Miyagi? The success is within yourself.
Basically, yeah. But this isn't me though. That's why I don't enjoy loot box things and things.
It seems like you place a big value on self-worth.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because that's something that you appear to that gambling table with. You appear with your notion of self-worth.
Right, and no matter how
contentness.
much someone else tries to give me self-worth, it'll never work because that's not where I think it comes from. So, like, no matter what the situation is, any situation where someone goes, "Here's $1 billion to make you a successful person," I would still not feel successful because I
Like,
didn't do
bitch, I
anything.
already am. No.
Yeah, or like even through work. Like that's why people talk like, "Oh, how much money are you making this job?" or ask for a raise or all this. That's not my concern. My concern is, do I enjoy what I'm doing? Is it worth my time?
Yeah.
Is it do I feel success through it? Not, oh, how much am I making? Because that to me is someone handing down something that represents your success, like giving you a raise, giving you promotions, having to fight and work for it up this chain where someone above you is handing it to you. I don't like that. That's not where I feel success. That's not where I get that sense of success. And that's why I think I enjoy like things like rock climbing stuff because you're alone. No one can give you success in rock climbing. No one can make you the best at it.
Yeah.
Yes, there
Or
are
even
people
good
saying,
at it.
and, yeah, exactly. And other people are going to measure you up, like watching you, or you can measure yourself up against other people. But really, at the end of the day, you're only, competing or climbing against yourself and what you want to accomplish. But you see yourself as what you were before and what you want to be in the future. So in a workforce, like, yeah, you can do that. You can think the person I want to be in the future is the CEO. I want to be in charge. I want to have this position. I want to make all the money. The person you were before was a brand new person. You can have that structure, but even still, there's another aspect to it where someone else is deciding whether you do achieve that or not. So I guess I'd like to be...
I guess it would be like, imagine if as you're rock climbing, someone decides, I'm going to pull this rock away from him right now.
Exactly, yeah. Or like they're changing the route as I'm going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I just see it as people who kind of, what I consider, let themselves be preyed upon by predatory practices to get every cent they have, or every cent they're willing to give up, for this such a minute little thing they're giving back. Like, when you really think about it, what does it take for a large company to make a fucking loot box that gives you like a skin or something? Like, what does it really take for them to make that? And what is it, like, is it something from their heart that they're really putting their heart and soul and blood into that they care about so much? Or is it just something like, oh, just make it cool and then, boom, make money? I'm sure there are still creatives that do
I think
really
if you
care
step
about
outside of that, if you gifted everyone that number one wanted skin, would yours be special at all anymore?
That's weird too. I don't understand how rarity equates value.
It does to people. Well, it gives them a sense of uniqueness and that they're special because they have that thing. And I guess in MechWarrior, you're telling me like there's so many not pay to win, but like pay to get the thing you want packages.
Yeah, and I've paid for a lot of them, and it definitely gives you a boost because usually when you pay for those, you get a little bit of a boost in your experience or whatever, in your C-bills, which are the in-game currency. That game is too hard on that because there's so many players that play not to get the money in game. So the people who usually pay the money to get those mechs usually just want it for time's sake because everybody eventually gets those mechs.
Yeah. Just
With
how much time
in-game
it takes
currency.
you to get it.
It's just that when they release a brand new mech, they say you can only buy this right now, but in 6 months you'll be able to purchase it in-game with the in-game like currency that you
That's like an exclusivity.
yeah,
for a while.
yeah. But there are some mechs that have like certain perks and stuff where you can possibly do a little bit better, and you can only pay with it with real money.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, some of the best players usually never use those mechs. So
You're right. They just developed a skill to be able to accomplish
yeah.
be successful without that kind of stuff. I find that weird because it's so blatantly like, it makes perfect business sense.
Yeah.
Business wise, of course you would do that. You'd be an idiot not to. You just make so much more money. Like you're going to be more successful business.
I think the most successful people create an environment in which you don't have to spend money, but if you want to, go ahead.
Yeah.
Because it ultimately comes down to choice, where so many people flee to games because they want to have a choice. So if you're just like, hey, if you want to feel like this microtransaction, this purchase will put you closer to the edge, then sure, go ahead, by all means make it. But at the same time, you get to step back and say, it's not essential though.
That to me is such a weak defense though. It's such a weak defense when everything else they've done that is free is all designed and tailored to encourage everyone to pay for it.
I wouldn't say that's
it's
encouraged to
optional,
pay for it.
But yeah, we've tailored the entire experience towards that.
I wouldn't say that because
it's not true for every case.
At what point do you want to say, is it tailoring it to it? Is it a stat increase? Is it...
So, like, the example I'm thinking of is Activision's newest patents I was talking about. How, like, they actually have made it where they can tailor the matchmaking process to put you with someone who has something you have to buy. It puts you with that person so you can see how they do with it, or go against someone who has it and you lose to it. And all this tailored to psychologically get people more likely to make those purchases. So that's the kind of practice I'm talking about. Not like,
cosmetics only.
Exactly. And the cosmetics, like, that's fine. I don't really care. And yeah, like, the rarity of it, where the value is. So if it's like, oh, it's super rare, like, no one really has a skin. I want to be the 1% that does. Like, okay, that's weird that you find value for something that no one else has. That mindset's weird to me. But it makes sense, I guess. Like, I get it.
In real life, I mean,
I
that's kind of still there.
Yeah, it's a thing, too, in real life. So that...
No one else has these shoes,
The
therefore I
cross
must
makes
have
sense.
them.
Right, it makes sense in that aspect, too. But the whole... when it's all designed and tailored towards that end, I don't accept the defense that, well, it's not necessary, it's not mandatory. Then the whole idea of your practice and creation there was to, when every practice is tailored to make more money, you didn't make this game because you had an idea in your head and you want to make a good experience or a fun thing. Like, if you just make Destiny 2 with the idea in mind, that I'm just using this example, I've never played it, so I don't know if this is the case, but the entire creation was, the whole purpose of it was just to make as fun an experience as possible, as best working systems of competitive play. Right?
Yeah.
That's what the case was. But they were using Destiny 2 as the case example for these patents they put out, and including those patents was creating fake players. So it's a bot controlling the player that has a player's name, a player's profile attached to it, and at some point maybe even fake communications coming off of it, like, fake voices, whatever, synthesized voices.
Yeah.
Right? At what point is that no longer just making a good product, a good game, a fun experience, and tailoring everything to make a fun experience, or is it just pure manipulation of a player? Like, them thinking one thing's happening, but in reality, it's all designed in a different way. So another example I could give you was Overwatch. I heard a story of someone speaking with a developer on Overwatch, and the developer asked, "What's your win rate at?" And the guy said, "Oh, about 50%. He goes, "Perfect. We have everyone designed to be at that." To keep people playing, because if you think about it, if you win too much, that's all you're doing, and people are less likely to keep playing if all they do is
It's going to
win.
become stagnant.
Stagnant. If you lose too often, people are really likely to stop playing.
So they feel like a
But
loser.
if you always feel like you're in the middle ground there of competitiveness, you come back and forth, winning, losing, about 50% of the time, people are a lot more likely to keep winning. So the matchmaking is just designed that if you're on a winning streak, if you're winning too often, you're put against players that you're more likely to lose against. If you're losing all the time, you're more likely to get put against players that you're probably going to win against.
Well, that's always a developer's end goal in online games, whereas team
To
against
keep
team.
people playing,
No, that's to be.
or to have a good experience.
I feel like if you have a good experience, you will continue playing.
Me too, so that's my argument too.
But it's strictly to keep things even.
But how much manipulation should be put into that is the ethical question, I
I
think.
think a huge amount, because you have people playing for different reasons. You have people playing for the sake of fun. You have people playing to be the best. You have people playing just to play the popular thing. So everything you do outside of that, and also there's this ridiculous notion in a capitalist environment that no one should ever do what's profitable. because then it makes you seem as some money-hungry
Money-hungry,
entity.
And it definitely had that.
But it's still just like,
yeah.
no, you have to be money-hungry to
Or you
exist.
don't exist anymore. Yeah.
Exactly,
You can't
where it's
keep
just
growing
like,
unless
you
you're
want to
growing.
continue making content, because ultimately I feel like that's something that's going to make people happy. If you really care about
Yeah.
what makes your buyers happy, how about having a part 1 to a game that's really awesome, but it's considered commercial unsuccessful, so you're not going to have a part 2. There's not going to be any follow-up.
Totally
you
right.
just
You're absolutely right.
exist in this one realm of doing it right the first time, and that's it. And there's so many games we could mention off the cuff where you're just like, hey, they did it awesome, I wish they would make a part 2, but it's like, guess what?
They can't afford it.
You can't afford it.
Yeah.
You can't be the perfect artist
They didn't.
with everything in mind.
They
of
didn't abide by the common practices of business.
Yeah,
and they've been stomped out of business.
what the market wants versus what the market's
Exactly.
willing to pay for.
So, like, for example, if I was in charge of like some game company, like I would be idealistic and snobby and wouldn't allow these like kind of predatory practices or monetization maximizations, right? And even if we do make a beautiful, great product that I'm so proud of and like everyone put love and practice into it and everything, yeah, I'd be happy with the product I made, but all of my people would be out of a job. And I'd be out of a job. And
Yeah.
I would never get to continue the work that everyone's so happy to do. So yes, while I would provide for this idealistic, perfect situation that they're all super happy about their creation, I'm not providing for their livelihoods. I'm not providing for my livelihood. I'm not providing for the continuation of that thing. Unless there's some sudden shift in society where the values change, where, you know, companies that do try to perform in this idealistic mindset get some sort of windfall of support. But that's not happening. That's not happening in today's society. That's why huge companies that are predatory with their monetization are making more and more money and getting away with it more and more and more. And where
Yeah.
smaller companies who want to be idealistic are closing down.
That's where games like Cuphead come so high, because like they spent years on that game.
It's
And
two
I know the
brothers
development.
behind it.
Yeah, those two guys were like, we're not gonna fucking release this game until it's ready.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a single price. You pay that price, you get the whole game.
Yep.
As far as I know, there is no like
Special
downloads
edition
or-
or any of
yeah.
that.
Like if they do anything, it's gonna be a second game.
Yeah.
But like what you pay for is what you get.
Yeah.
I love that mindset, and that's what's supposed to be the new MechWarrior game. Like you pay for it. They're even the main CEO creator. He was behind some of the story of the original game. He said it's not going to be like MechWarrior Online where you can pay for certain things like throughout the game. It's a single player, like how games used to be. You
Yeah.
pay for the game, and that's what you get.
That's good.
Yeah, like
And I think that
I wish everybody went back to
I
that.
think that even has its own business sense to it. So yes, you're not designing it predatorily for maximization profits, but I
Right.
think the good word of mouth that comes with that and the kind of dedicated support you can receive from that is more valuable potentially, depending on your level of success initially and how good
Yeah.
a product you do make. That could be more valuable than, let's say, EA adding loot boxes to fucking Battlefront. Like people still play the old Battlefronts because the product itself, not because it had the practices and like loot boxes and shit. People still play that shit because it was good shit.
Yeah.
And now it's a new product, no matter how good it is, it's still going to be marred by that existence of a loot box. And who's going to play that 20 years down the line? Who's going to remember that as like, oh, that was such a good game, like I still play it, I set my own private server that I run with my friends. I don't think it's going to happen at all. Because the initial design wasn't just to make a good fucking thing, it was make a thing, and then how can we tweak and tailor every single element of it to make more money?
Yeah.
That's the business practice.
And that's something we started this conversation with before you got here, is just why we enjoy Dot Hack so much. It's because they seem committed to making a product not only entertaining, but just good on its own right.
Well, not entertaining to everyone, but entertaining the people who enjoy it. They're making the product they want to make, it seems. And they have
Definitely.
the story that they want to tell, the experience they want to share, or even not share, like just making an experience, and they just happen to be selling it. You
Yeah.
can happen to also experience it. I mean, of course, it's all designed for be sold, of course. Like
Not to be
So
cheesy,
that's-
I genuinely think that's what our podcast is about. It's just like, hey, let's have a conversation we're going to have
right.
with or without you here. It's just it happens to be recorded at this moment in time. But that I think that could be applied to anyone who makes content in this day and age.
Right.
And back to the Dot Hack thing, is they wanted to get a message out there, and even if it was meta commentary at the time,
Just tell a story of what they think.
yeah, what an MMO was, or what an RPG was, or that grounds in between.
Their reflection on humanity within it.
Yeah, or maybe they saw an
Yeah.
early age of where we were at with augmented reality, And aside from that, VR maybe, and just so much stuff that's relevant to today, and that technology has brought us to a forefront where we can experience things where before we only thought of in concept, and things we had to simulate to a point where it denatured what you were doing, in that attacking a mob of monsters becomes this mechanical thing of, oh, I press this hotkey, and then before I know it, it's over, to the point where you're almost experiencing that life. And that's why so many people flock to gaming as a whole. But aside from that, it's just, how can I do this thing to pass the time and feel like my effort is worth what I get out of it?
That's a great point. I think what I do it for, what I play games for, isn't necessarily just like, oh, I got time to kill and this is somewhat distracting and fun. I think I play it more so for like, it's a medium for something. It's a medium for storytelling. It's a medium for experience. Then more so than it is to just have that like quick endorphin shot, you know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you still play games that are just, you know, there's no actual purpose or story or message to be sent, but it's just a fun experience. It's a fun game. That's all it's for. Okay, yeah, I get that. I still do this, so I'm not pure like, oh, I'm an idealist. I don't, you know, enjoy either. I don't enjoy this side ever. It's just disgusting and nasty, like all wrong. No. But I think the entire, it goes for any medium, but like the purpose is it's a platform for you to experience humanity. Part of it, I guess. You are such a... Is this why you brought him in, to ask him for more beers every time he stands up? You fucking wait for him to stand up, he just, please, beer me, please.
Beer me, beer fairy.
Oh man, you're a piece of shit.
God damn it, you couldn't put this all on him. You could have gotten me a beer yourself. You
drink
selfish bitch!
I don't drink beer. I've got my whiskey still from the very beginning.
You've been nursing the shit out of it this whole time.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. I think
Let
I
people
ranted for a
enjoy
while.
things.
That was a good rant.
Yeah.
I should have said rant time at the top of this. Okay, I'm curious. So you've listened to a few of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the way through, or just like bits of it?
Not all the way through. Just bits.
Is that how
They're long.
this shit?
How did
They're
you?
long.
How did you? Did he tip you off about it?
No, I asked him.
Yeah.
He told me about it. And then I think I never looked into it. And then I was like, hey, you told me about a podcast or something.
Yeah.
And I was bored at work. And I had internet access, like the ability to just like kind of listen to internet as I was doing my job. So he told me about it. I went straight to it and I listened to 2 different ones, but not all the way through, like about 40 minutes each. And I did enjoy it. So it wasn't a complete sham. Because it's real. Like, it's not bullshit, you know?
Yeah. Is it different from the outside perspective, the inside? Because, of course, we can't ever have an outside perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it
like,
weird?
I don't know how to explain it. I've never done this before, so...
Let's either.
It's cooler being a part of it here, but I enjoy listening to it, so... I feel like it could acquire a broader audience, or a greater audience, I should say.
I think one of the things that I'm really proud of is the fact that we haven't publicized this podcast at all. And we have a listener, if not more than that.
Oh, yeah. One dedicated one. And for like
Yeah.
a couple weeks, he would find me at work and start talking about something I was talking about in the podcast. Like, the fuck you talking about, dude? He'd like bring back jokes that I don't remember saying or anything.
Yeah.
Like, that's really funny. Like, yeah, you made it up. Like, what? You told the joke. Clever. Like, yeah, you said that. Oh, shit.
Well, very
So
few
weird.
people have, the time to listen to an hour-long
That's very true,
podcast.
Let alone 3.
Even Rogan's podcast, like, I can barely sit through his.
Sir,
that's why
I have listened to the last 230.
I like how he chunks his into smaller
That's
bits
sectionalized.
Yeah.
for certain people. Like,
Yeah.
he has his full episodes, and then he has, like, little bits.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes.
Like an interview portion.
Yeah.
It's only interview.
Those I listen to.
Okay.
But lucky enough, though, he has someone... So on that podcast, I don't even know his last name, but he always refers to him first name Jamie. He gets to do all the audio editing, or gets to do
They
all
got a
the other
specific
cuts.
person for it.
Meanwhile,
Isn't
not
he the one
only...
that, like, looks up the stuff on it?
Yeah, exactly. That's Jamie. So I have to do both of those while we're doing...
Right.
Not to, like, toot my own horn, but
I just
it's
provide
just...
looks. It's an audio podcast.
we don't do we don't do any of the visual, which we talked about doing recently.
Maybe.
But once again, it's just we don't have enough feedback to let us know if that
Is
was
that
helpful.
even like? Would that even add anything, or is it just?
Hey, is that relevant?
Is it just more work?
Would it make you feel like you know the people behind the podcast?
It would probably add a lot more value.
Really?
Yeah. I enjoy when I can see the person more.
Okay.
For sure.
The sad thing is I have a camera right there, like a really good camera.
Yeah, we could just flip it on, but it's like, do we even want to add that aspect?
Even
to
in
it?
some of the streamers that I watch for MechWarrior, of course, like, they're not very popular. They have like 1,000 viewers,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and that's their average.
What's a niche thing?
Yeah.
But
So are we.
I went back to the beginning of their videos, and they did not show their face, and they had like half of that
Yeah.
the viewers.
Yeah.
But I could tell, like, not just for the fact that they got more viewers, but like I myself was like more interested when I could see them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would just be a picture of them in the corner, and they're with their headphones, and then that's all I see.
So what was your notion behind that? You were just like, oh, it's a real person, or they care enough to include video?
That they care enough, and also I could see their expressions.
I think it shows also a certain level of like effort they're putting into it.
Hmm.
That's kind of okay. I can expect a better product output just by the amount of visual they're putting this much effort into it. Whereas like an audio podcast, especially with a lot of editing, like you might not be aware of the amount of effort someone's putting into it because they're editing out the bad stuff,
Yeah.
or because you're not hearing all the uncut stuff. Like you don't know how long the recordings are. You
Some
only know
people
the
like
output.
that though. Some people like not seeing anything and just like
Yeah,
they have
I want
to
the
just
perfect
purely
thing.
listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then some people like play stuff in the background, like a video game in the background while they're
We
talking.
thought about that too. Yeah, we thought about that too.
Yeah, but we also weighed how many Let's Plays channels there are out there. And It's
Right.
like, do we want to be another one on top of that?
And I think that would just like kind of lessen our input, like how much we can
Yeah.
actually think. Because it's kind of hard to actually think about stuff while speaking, while kind of performing.
Trying to
in a
be
weird
clever
way.
almost.
You have to
the
plan
point.
that out.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, it's not good if you just kind of wing it and you're
Yeah.
trying to visualize stuff.
Could you imagine if we were playing Cuphead the entire time? Like how shitty a podcast it would be.
It would just be me saying, fuck, I'm terrible at this game.
There was a video I saw of a guy. He literally was just like in the comments. He was like, it was an edit. I saw after it blew up. He was like, oh my god, I didn't know it would do so good. I was just sharing this with my friends. He overlaid Cuphead music to a police chase video. And the video was the best. Like,
That's
this
a
guy
great
kept
video.
hitting people. Like, no one got injured or killed, but he
Yeah.
kept hitting other cars. And he would just get out of the car and Grand Theft Auto.
Oh
the
yeah, I
next
saw
car.
that. I've seen the video. Yeah.
He was like pulling out the lady and getting in, and then eventually he just gets
Crazy.
caught.
yeah.
It was hilarious.
You
though,
can't jump
but-
the fence at the end. Was that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. It's so funny too. Like when we first started this, we weren't even. I still think is the case now, but at no point were we ever concerned with reaching like a critical mass audience or anything.
Right.
It's just like, man, every time we talk about an audience, all we're concerned about is commentary, like feedback, or seeing what other people think about it.
Yeah.
Because that's, I think, the only perspective we can't get.
I think it's, yeah, exactly. And also a certain level of perfectionist where it's just like, I would like to make this show better for someone. I can't tell you from my own perspective how to
Yeah.
do that.
Taking a
And
shower.
our sponsor today is
You're taking a shower in the dark.
In the dark, once.
Just turn off all your, at night, turn off all your lights,
Okay.
close the door of the bathroom, and just completely dark, turn on the shower and get in and take a shower in the dark.
I don't think I've ever
And keep your eyes
purposely
open.
done that.
The whole time keep your eyes open.
So I did it on accident once in the sense that my power was out and I took a shower anyways.
Yeah, so I've done that too.
Okay.
It was very peaceful.
I like it. It's something weird.
No, it was, yeah.
Yeah. And the whole time I started thinking like...
Do you think, like, this is how I should take a shower every time?
No, I don't do it
I
all the
felt
time.
more relaxed, but at the same time a little bit on edge for some
It's
reason.
weird, isn't it? And like, the whole time I was thinking, if I was blind, this would be my whole... This would be one small
Your
aspect
existence?
to my entire existence.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about like, well, like if I was blind, like what else would be different? And what do I do now? Could I not do it at all? Like even video games, okay, you could. Like I started thinking, okay, you would have to have someone else in your life to help with these experiences because of course you can't see. So for video games, you'd have to have someone else playing most likely, and having to describe to you what's happening to still kind of enjoy them if you want to in a way.
Yeah.
Even that's gonna be like Cuphead would be like. That wouldn't be a very good experience because you're just hearing someone like, I jumped and I died and I jumped and I died.
Yeah, see, I don't... Even if
It has
you
a
right
story.
now, someone who enjoys video games, were to go totally blind, I don't think you would enjoy video games anymore. You'd be so focused on all the other aspects that you have to improve in your
Yeah.
life that you just move on from
And it
them.
might be just
Or you'd
like,
be like, I never realized how much I enjoyed hearing the sound of birds.
Right,
Or something like
exactly. Like, you know.
yeah. I mean, I already do enjoy sound first, but
that. Yeah, that's because you're weird.
whatever. I actually like the bird sounds in the background of the old podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, I was sad when we moved over there, I was like, can I hear the birds anymore?
No, no.
Yeah, so I think that, like, how can I still enjoy some of these things? And even that, in practice, it might not work in like it does in theory. So if you had a really cool person, like I was thinking, like if I had a wife or something who was like playing games, really good at describing them or telling what was going on, I could still enjoy like a story of one, sure. But for a while, I imagine you have a sense of loss, the lost experience of a lost hobby or lost thing you enjoyed, like you can't do it anymore. So that kind of sucked. Like in practice, having someone describe it might work, but
you'd get a totally different aspect though that other people don't get.
Yeah, and you get an aspect of having a shared experience with the person describing it to you.
Yeah,
which I think would be really cool depending on the person.
Yeah, like stuff you wouldn't think of if you were trying to describe it to someone else. Like, oh shit, there's a rock in front of you. You got to jump over that, and you might say something different. Like
their power of description, it also is hugely comes into play there.
Yeah,
but like that's just one aspect of all your whole life that like, your job could you still do your job or a version of your job if you're blind.
Well, that's like reading audiobooks. For example, MechWarrior again. When I got my eye surgery, I told myself I bought these brand new nice noise canceling headphones, and for the 3 days I was out, I was going to listen to audiobooks because you're supposed to like relax your eyes and close them and whatever. And I don't know if you've listened to audiobooks lately, but they're fucking awesome. Like the narrators like create a whole experience for you that you do not get when you just read.
So not to incriminate myself, but I have 92 Star Wars books, literally just Star Wars books
What's wrong with you?
that I've downloaded. They're really great. Not even gonna joke. Whoever it was, I don't know if it's like Lucas in charge of the time. It wasn't Disney. They're like, we're just gonna pay writers to tell Star Wars stories.
They allowed writer to do their own thing. So
exactly.
It's an expanded universe. Is what they called it.
Yes.
Any writer basically could write something, and they would condone it, basically.
Correct.
I never knew that. I mean, it doesn't surprise me too much, but I didn't know that there was like sound effects.
Yep.
Like that's huge.
Some do, Some do.
Some do. Right, like depending on the book.
Some do like music and parts too.
That can make a huge difference when
most commonly they just do different voice for different characters.
Yeah.
And that's even really a hard skill to do. And that's what I mean by the power of delivering a description by the person informing you or giving that experience.
Yeah.
But if you're blind, it's a huge thing.
I think the best is when it's literally just one guy narrating the whole book.
Yeah.
So he's got to do all the different voices, female and male.
You're thinking of Game of Thrones, aren't you?
No, I'm thinking of MechWarrior. Because this guy, like, literally there was a female character, and he changed his voice to portray
the
a
number
female
one
character.
thing he tells his wife, he's like, no, I'm thinking about MechWarrior right now.
I'm a little obsessed. Even though I'm not, like, super fanboy, because, like, I don't know a lot of things. There's too much to know. Like, I'm too far past. Like, some of the older guys in their 40s know more. Obviously.
That's how I feel about Marvel. No joke.
Yeah.
He asked me questions about Marvel all the time. I'm like, dude, I don't even know that shit. It's impressive, though, when you know anything about that universe at all. Because it clearly is something someone's created within their own mind. I'm just like, how does an entire universe exist within someone's own mind? But I'm always impressed when they elaborate more on it and they try to share that exact vision that they've had. Something totally self-contained, and they just want to like, hey, I thought of this crazy concept. Why don't you just join in on it? And then it becomes a community thing that everyone's inputting on simultaneously. To a certain degree, of course.
And then someone like me grows up and hates it.
Yeah.
It's so bloated. There's too much.
You have criticisms of your community. Yeah. Which is perfect, though. I think criticism is just as valid as, like, positive validation.
Speaking of positive validation, thinking about getting blind, it's like, man, that really sucks. It sucks. Like, it's kind of sad. I figured out what I would want to do if I did get blind. If I did just go completely blind and stuff.
Masturbate furiously.
I would have a business plan.
Okay.
About what I would want to do. Because, one, breaking off the success of audiobooks. Because, not everybody has the time to read, and so they put the time for reading, they can listen.
Yeah.
I would do the similar thing for audiobooks, did for books, but for, like, TV shows and movies. It's an adaptation of a TV show or movie, but made for just delivery of telling the story of what's happening. So it's a different adaptation from a book. Of course, you're not just reading the lines, because, that's just the changing the medium. Instead of reading yourself, you're being read to. Instead of your eyes, it's your ears. Same thing for TV and movies, but it would now come down to someone's ability to describe their power of description again, what's happening in something, and still have it be interesting, or still be able to deliver how cool something is. Because I think about how sometimes, like, I'll ask you questions about something. Like, early in this podcast, you mentioned the MechWarrior story.
Yeah.
Told all the stuff about that. The actual mech warriors from US and Japan. Like, you describing that, I guarantee it's going to be way fucking cooler what happened in my head than what actually happens in the videos. Most
Yeah,
likely.
yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Or like the way you describe some things like comic book stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you just showed me one earlier while we were waiting for everyone to come together.
I told you about it earlier at a rock climbing gym, and
Yeah.
then you saw the
I
Yeah.
promise you, the experience of you describing my head of what happens and what I imagine
yeah.
was way better than the actual, like the video showing the actual story of here's the panels, here's the thing. Wow, it was still good.
Yeah.
It wasn't the exact tailoring that I want in my head, right? It's not the design I have in my head.
But he had to get the inspiration from somewhere to tell that.
Exactly.
And
So
that was that.
He was the adaptation methodology,
Right.
Yeah.
and I was a consumer for that story. And I got to piece together my own way. I would do a very similar thing for movies and TV shows. It always just comes down to your ability to adapt it, and describe. So just imagine, like, instead of watching, say, Kill la Kill, you're just having someone basically tell the story of Kill la Kill episode by episode.
Yeah.
And it still follows the episode formats.
I think part of what makes that is the passion of the person telling the
Exactly,
story.
Yeah.
And if the more they get developed, the more they read into it, like maybe what they received from that story and that message that they gleaned from it. And part of that is you enter every story with the bias that you have starting it off.
Yeah.
So maybe their bias and their experiences leading up to that story made that interpretation in particular that much more worth it.
So what I think I would do for that, because a big part of like how audiobooks, they'll do different voices, they'll add sound effects and stuff. That's pretty simple to add in because it's just based off basically a script of the
Yeah.
words telling you what to say, exactly what to say. And the audiobook reader, they don't tell you what the meaning of stuff is. They don't tell you what the message is. They don't do the analysis for you. They're just providing the medium for you to experience it. It'd be a similar thing for what I'm talking about here. They wouldn't tell you like what it all means, or they wouldn't break it down, but they would describe like the expressions, the visuals, the like an action. Say Kill la Kill example again. Like you could still cut in the audio for the actual show, like say a fight scene's going on, but you could like it'd take a lot of hard editing, and it wouldn't work for everything. Some things work better, some things work worse, but you could have the characters still say their own lines, and you could hear the fight in the background, but you could edit it out to fade the sound a bit, or a lot, or extend the sound, or pause, I guess, and have the person start describing what's happening as good as possible, basically, to tell like, okay, here's how the action's going down. You can still hear the delivery, you can still hear the performance of the actual actors or voice actors and everything. So you can still have Ryuko being Ryuko, you can still have Satsuki being Satsuki, but then in between, during the fight, someone's describing you how they're fighting, and not just she swings right and ducks, and then this, like not word for word, but action per action, stunted like this, but also if they're really good at it, they can start describing the intensity of it, or the speed of it, the
intensity.
That's
of the action.
exactly how the audiobooks that I've listened to have been.
Yeah.
Like, even what you said when they slow down the fights, they've done that in some of those MechWarrior books, and they were like, the sweat. Like, just little small things like that.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's
Like-
what makes books better. Not better, but that's what a lot of part of writing is.
Yeah. Like things that even
reading
if
play
it
by play
was...
is less interesting than what you're describing.
Yeah.
I feel like some people underanalyze movies as a whole.
Yeah.
And that's where those things become lost entirely. In that you see, like, say you're watching 300 and you see Leonidas sweat simultaneously when he swings at someone, and you can see by the expression of Gerard Butler's face that more than anything in his life he's wanted to cut this opponent. You don't analyze that. You just
You
think
just
to the
see
point.
big hunky man swinging metal.
Exactly.
That's all you really see.
And I don't know, should the director emphasize that more? Should the person shooting the camera focus more on Leonidas' sweat versus it's on the user, on the person viewing it, that they underanalyzed it and they just accepted what's going on in the scenery for what's happening at that moment, as opposed to appreciating the art that's in front of you. And that's something that's lost upon us in the modern century as when it comes to movies or even music. I would thoroughly argue music.
Here's a counter example to support that point. The newest Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I think that would be a fucking impossibly hard movie to do what I'm describing about.
In an audiobook,
Audiobook.
to
How would
relay
you-
that level of
yeah.
emotion and complexity.
That subtle, like, impression that you get of
I have high
emotional
hopes
feeling
for it.
from it.
Have you not seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Holy
Dude,
shit.
it's my number one recommended for this year.
That's my review of it. Just
Holy shit.
How many times did I say it after we saw it, just walking away, just like, holy shit.
It was
Holy
same director
shit.
as Arrival. And
Have you read the book yet?
No.
Have you the?
for Blade Runner?
Yeah,
No.
I didn't
so
know it was
it's
a book.
different. It is. It's based off a book, but
Okay.
the book is a little different. It's
Yeah.
called Androids.
Androids Who Dream of Relationship.
Yeah. So I've been wanting
The
to read
Philip
it.
novel.
I actually want to.
I've seen a piece of art
I've not
that
read it.
jokes about that. It's just a bunch of
it's totally different.
android jumping over a fence, and the answer is just like yes at the bottom. It's like a sheep dreaming it.
I'll buy the trademark on that idea. That's my idea. Okay, if it's stolen, we've got to record it
No,
down.
sir.
Some
No.
blind
It's
motherfucker
too late.
steals my idea.
Patent on that.
Yeah, patent that idea, please. Yeah, I think it's a great idea, actually.
I need to see that movie. I totally forgot. It's probably not even still playing anymore, is it?
No, I don't think so. I
I need to see it.
think it's such a good idea. And like, you know how everyone always says, "Oh, the book is better."
Right.
I think the described version, the visual book, I guess go with visual books, description of like a movie or show or something, could take a lot of the negative, bad aspects out of it and just express all the good points better.
Right.
So if it's still a bad story, like it's still going to be a bad story.
So basically, David Attenborough needs to be narrating all movies from this point on.
Yeah, it's like 100% narration for a movie. No,
Those are some of my favorite documentaries too. Like
David Attenborough.
Yeah, like
He's
Planet
a-
Earth and Blue Planet and
Yeah.
all those. That's why I love animals so much.
Now imagine Planet Earth. You don't actually ever see any of it. It's just David Attenborough describing it.
Yeah.
That would be hard to do, though.
Yeah, he
It'd be
doesn't
really
get that detailed.
No, not at all. No.
Like that's the best part of Planet
He's
Earth.
explaining
like,
what's happening. Usually.
Yeah, those cameramen were literally out there in all those different parts of the earth, like
Right.
for years,
Yeah.
just waiting. Like,
The snow leopard shots.
yeah, the snow leopard.
Incredibly rare. Those
I,
are so
this
hard to
snow
find.
leopard on my arm is literally,
Is it a shot from?
yeah,
Nice.
he's climbing down, or she, I believe it was a female trying to feed her
Yeah.
offspring. It was like climbing down the mountain, and I remember they were saying like it took 2 years to get this shot
Just waiting for this
Yeah.
moment. Yeah. That's crazy.
in Pakistan.
I think they did part of that. Like they kind of made that part of the movie in Secret Life of Walter Mitty. There's a whole portion of the movie that does that.
Haven't
exact
seen that.
thing. You should see it.
What is it?
Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Walter Netty?
Walter Mitty, I think.
Huh.
It's a really good movie, actually. And it's a Ben Stiller film. I think he also directs it, I think. And it's not like shitty Ben Stiller. It's actually Ben Stiller trying.
Ben Stiller serious?
Serious Ben Stiller. Yeah, serious Ben Stiller. Yeah.
That's like
Not like cash grab Ben Stiller. Like National... What is it? Museum? What is it called?
Night Museum.
Science Museum bullshit.
Oh, God.
Ben Stiller.
all I think of is It's Always Sunny when they try to go to the museum at night. You don't actually believe that if you break into a museum that animals are going to come alive. History is going to happen around you. We don't know, D. Maybe
God,
we'll just get in
stupid
some
bitch.
hijinks with a security guard and run around the museum all night.
That's fun, too. That's a fucking great idea. I'm a goddamn genius. Have some blind asshole steals my idea.
My idea behind all that is just like, obviously I had one good idea, therefore I could direct this movie better. And I'm totally guilty of that and before in comic book movies. I'm just saying, like, someone from the viewer's perspective, and we've talked about this before,
Well,
in that if someone's like, I'm a critic, I know everything you did wrong in this movie, my idea always is like, why the fuck aren't you a director then? If you know all the right answers, you know all the right calls to make.
Practice and hard.
And it's just like, obviously, the thing you should have done is this. I'm like,
Easier
well,
to criticize
asshole.
than it is to create.
That's what comes to mind when people start talking about politics.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things. Video games, like, oh, the fucking developers are always screwing us. They don't do this right.
Yeah.
Do you know how to make a video game?
As a matter of fact, no. Actually, no. Yeah. I guess I couldn't make more.
There's more involved in the process than
Yeah.
there isn't just criticizing and touching
And
the
then,
product.
even all the bad parts, you're like, oh, they're fucking us. Like,
Yeah.
it's a genuine possibility that could have been made with the best intentions.
Like, and you can even sit someone down to the fact where you're just like, hey, it's $10,000 to make this idea correct, then
Yeah.
$100,000 to make it even better.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, hey, let's just do correct enough for the matter of fact.
Yeah, or it's like, here's a criticism. They go, we know, but it was outside the realm of possibility financially for us to do that, so we did the best we could with the means we had.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
And even more to the common man, you could make it a simple dollar amount. Be like, hey,
Yeah.
why
That
didn't
fixed
you make this
costs.
animation better? And you're like, look, $40,000 versus $10,000. And to us, it seems like a menial fact. To a large company, you'd say that's less of a fact. But still, it's just like, hey, $30,000 is a huge amount to what we perceive as a lot of money.
Anyone who creates something, I think, usually the most critical person is themselves.
I'm sure, dude, if someone's right now like, why didn't you provide everyone with a microphone? I'm like, well, that's $250 I didn't have.
I'm going to buy my own. But,
Yeah.
like, you paid for most of everything. Like, we're using all of your stuff for this.
Yeah. Yeah, and even then, I reluctantly thought of the processor that would take to render audio faster.
Yeah.
And that's something I deal with maybe once a week. But even then, it seemed like a significant fact at the time. But that's aside from you doing everything on your own. And one day maybe you'll have supporters. You'll have the point where you can think about what's more important at this point in time.
Right.
But until you're there, you can't plan too far ahead. Because there's always that risk factor that you take that one step ahead and no one catches you on that fall.
You put more in and no one's picked it up.
Dude, that's everything. And it's on person-to-person relationships, and it's also there on like a micro to macro transaction. You're just like, well, what if we make a micro transaction that no one buys? And then we're perceived as some money-hungry company that everyone hates. Yeah, and then you're just left out there in the dark. And you try doing this thing to satisfy it, or what you thought at the time was going to satisfy your fan base. And you ended up alienating them entirely.
It's like George Lucas, man.
Yeah,
Star
dude,
Wars.
I 100% like give
Like
him
the
that
original
much
Star Wars
criticism.
movie. Everybody that saw those when they were kids, when they were able to see them, you know, they're like, those were perfect. Don't touch them.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, don't touch those. Those are perfect. What happened? They fucking redid them, made them more special.
Next month we're gonna see the new edition. What is it? Episode 8 out of 9.
Are you going to make me go see that?
See,
Yes.
I like all the new Star Wars. I like episode 1 through 3. I'm one of those people.
Did you like...
I think they're great.
What's the one with the girl? The Ergo?
Episode 7.
No.
You
It's
mean Rey?
not numbered. It's not numbered.
With who?
Yeah.
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Did you see Rogue One? Do you like it?
So I didn't like that one.
Oh.
I thought The Force Awakens was fucking awesome.
So,
I love that.
Number 1, if you're infiltrating a base of Imperials and you're the only brown person who's not British and also not clean shaven, is like every officer not like, what the fuck?
He's just that swab, dog. He's just that charming.
Sometimes I
That's
don't
for-
look
yeah.
at movies as a whole. Like, everybody likes to make the complaint that The Force Awakens, for example, is exactly like A New Hope. I don't see it in that way at all, but, like, obviously it's similar, but
You were able to like
totally
separate
new
the two and
things,
enjoy
yeah.
it as its own.
I like
piece.
the little small things, like...
The people who couldn't forget that couldn't experience it as itself.
Yeah, you could look at it this perspective that Luke went into the story knowing his father was already dead, feeling like he was already abandoned, versus Rey was like, I just want to know who my parents are.
Yeah.
There are differences, yeah.
Yeah, and there's huge differences on the protagonist's point of view from that. And that you're left with this idea, much like someone who's new to the Star Wars franchise, that this is an established thing that so many people have to deal with, or so many people feel this way about, and I'm entering to it right now. And that's where I'll praise The Force Awakens, because if you have a fresh new perspective, it introduces to you as like, yes, this is an established thing. Much like Rey looks as the Empire, just like, I heard this was a terrible part of history in which it dictates so much of my reality now, versus the new person who's never seen Star Wars, never seen Star Trek, never seen the sci-fi franchise as a whole can sit down and say, I've never been invoked to this level of thinking. Like, maybe they've never even thought of space as a whole. They've never thought of space travel, or faster than light travel, or blasters and lightsabers and forces above their own control. That they're able to sit down and say...
Some people don't like that sort of stuff. Some people
maybe,
some
but...
people only like experiences that
My wife.
they can find familiar. Yeah, exactly. That's part of like the casual quote-unquote audience.
Yeah.
They personally, I think, more so enjoy a more relatable experience. And then that's why like certain Star Wars episodes can reach mass appeal, because yes, there's a lot of fantastical elements, but it's all couched in a human experience that can be relatable. And it's that classic, like, the classic tale of the hero's tale, whatever, like,
Yes.
right? That thing you're talking
Hero's
about?
Journey.
Hero's Journey. It's still that thing, and that works. So I think it appeases both sides, people who like the fantastic elements, people who like the human elements of it. It works for both. That's why it's so successful. But all that being said, I think your mindset going into any experience at all, but movies particularly here, if you go with an open mind like you did for like the newer one, episode 7 or whatever, like yes, even if you are aware that everyone's saying, oh, it's the same thing as a New Hope or whatever. Yeah, you can be aware of that. If you can clear your mind, kind of experience it as what it is, you're gonna have a better time.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a better experience, regardless of whether it's a better movie or not.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, and that's why I think but I don't enjoy Marvel movies and Star Wars movies because I don't forget all that stuff. I just don't, set all that stuff aside and just be there with the movie experience what it has experienced. So,
Yeah. I love those
higher
movies.
concept. I like those high concept things.
And you still haven't finished Space Dandy, you piece of shit.
Oh, I need to watch that again.
Dude,
I haven't
finish
started.
that. Start from beginning. If anything I could recommend to our listeners today is watch Space
Oh shit,
Dandy.
dude, we've got our rock climbing event in 30 minutes.
Beyond that, yeah. I've
Yeah.
missed the entire UFC event at this point.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is I invited 2 different people
Yeah.
and totally didn't show up.
Well, I'm
But-
gonna go watch a rock climbing movie.
Yeah.